It's me, Kevin Vonesper. If you're watching me, you found your way onto the VonPod. I don't have much to say as an intro today. I kind of just want to get straight to this conversation. I'm pretty excited about it. All will be revealed tonight on VonPod.
VonPod. Welcome to VonPod. I've got chicken heads and deli creeps, scary monsters and super creeps on VonPod. You're listening to VonPod. With aliens and skunk dogs, I hope you're here to chat along to VonPod.
You can watch and chat with us live. Like and share and subscribe. It's always a surprise.
You're watching VonPod. VonPod.
1,
Hello, Joey Eppard.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going? What do you remember about that show?
Wow, I don't know, man. It sounded like we were having a pretty good night there.
Dude, pretty
Or,
rocking. Yeah,
yeah.
so me and my roommate at the time, Evan, who was in a band called Three Monkeys Named Bob, made that video.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
So I'm so
and
glad you guys captured that.
I know, me too. And that's like the only song that's like out there in the world from it. Um, but I dug up my archive and I found all three angles on tape and redigitized them. So if you
Whoa.
want to do anything with it, the only thing missing is the soundboard sound from Ed Willock, who was the promoter that night. He
Oh, okay.
says he has it, but I gotta like convince him to go digging and find it. I
That's gonna take some
tried.
digging.
So I actually have another song from that night that we could play later on that I edited today. It's in
Cool.
much better quality because that's from YouTube from like 10 years ago
Oh,
or
okay,
something,
yeah.
But
Wow.
yes.
That's crazy just seeing that, seeing we were we're having quite a moment there.
What was that moment? That was a rare five piece three too, right?
Yeah, those were that's what we had going back in the day there. We had Joe Stote on percussion and I was a big fan of our rhythm section. Chris Gartman and Joe Stote were from a band called Peace Bomb.
Oh,
Uh,
Chris was in that band too?
yeah,
Okay,
and
'cause I knew the percussionist came from that band and I'd heard you talk about them before.
yeah. So, well, yeah, Chris blew us away. I mean, like it
Well,
was
yeah, you've been playing with him for like what, 20 something years.
yeah, yeah. So, when my brother left the band, we decided to aim high. Like, well, who would be my fantasy drummer? And we asked Chris, and he actually said yes. So,
Nice.
yeah, it
Was
was
he like the most experienced of like the musician of the group at the time or?
he had a couple years on me,
Mhm.
you know, and he's definitely maybe the most technically skilled player at the time. But we brought a lot to the table too, and he was
Oh,
actually in New York City,
oh, okay.
so he started commuting back upstate to play with us, and then eventually,
That's a bit of a drive.
yeah, he got tired of that, and he moved back upstate. So
Yeah,
we coaxed him out of New York.
nice. Was he
Yeah,
in a band in New York? Because Peace Bomb was more local to your area, right? Kingston,
yeah.
Woodstock.
Peace Bomb was Kingston. I don't think he was doing anything at the time in New York. Maybe playing a little bit here and there, but nothing. He's also came from West Virginia,
Okay.
so like he would go back home and play with his friends down there. But
Is he still in the area?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now
So
he
he,
went even further upstate. So
okay, got you.
so
So
I got
this
to
is all
coach
because
him
of
down.
you.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Uh, is that a former church in Poughkeepsie? No, that is the Nyack Center in Nyack that we were talking a little bit before we got on air about. It was not a backdoor show, that the backdoor was a program that ran in the Nyack Center. That was an event that I believe was booked by Ed Willock. But what's your history with that building?
I don't know how we got started playing down there, but it was the backdoor program. The first time we came down, and I don't think we were on the big stage.
Right, because it was
There.
in the back. It was like in the back for a while, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I missed those days. I wasn't old enough yet.
But we came down, and there'd always be a bunch of bands on the bill, and we were looking to play any gig we could. We always had a good time, so we kept doing it and made a lot of friends that we still have. So
Was Nyack, I mean, I always consider you part of the Nyack scene just because of my association with Nyack and seeing you there. But I know you were more in like the Woodstock Kingston scene, but did you ever think of Nyack as like your second home or
I mean, I don't know if I would go that
for
far,
that
but I
far?
mean,
Yeah.
it was definitely um, a spot we like to go and play. It was kind of within range
Hmm.
of our home base, so we could get down there pretty regularly,
Right.
and we always had fun. So we kept doing it. And I think in the video you showed, it had been quite some time actually since we'd been back down there, so that was special.
Well, yeah, because I guess my history is like, I think I first saw you and I have pictures and video from this show actually, 2002 in a place called Images in Pearl River, which was there, I don't know, maybe just that summer because I never heard of it before or after. That's where these pictures from the flyer came from.
Okay.
That's a picture I took of you when I was like 18 playing at that place. And then next to it is a picture of me playing that place like a week prior or after. We
Nice.
were like in the same string of shows there.
Oh,
So
that's cool. Yeah, I remember that spot vaguely.
yeah, it was. I've only been there twice to see you and then to play there, and that was it.
No, that where was that place? That was
In Pearl River,
in Pearl River.
I
Okay,
think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
take
let's
your word for it.
here. Let's check it out. Fuck it. Let's just jump into it. I got videos from that show. Let's check it out.
Oh, cool.
Which is from my camera, but I think I coaxed my friend into filming most of it so I could like hang out and dance. But either way, nobody's ever seen this before.
Wow.
I'll skip around it because it's just like the whole thing. I think the first song was really good. Do you
Whoa,
remember who
is
this
that-
guy
Is
was?
that Tom Benton?
Hey, what a great club this is. Chrome.
Tom Benton.
Who is that?
That is Tom Benton. He was president of Planet Noise Records.
Oh, okay.
And great guy. Look how young he is. That's crazy. He looks
I
like
was
a kid.
thinking. Oh yeah, well wait till you see the rest of your band.
Some of you already know these guys. Some of you don't. You're in for a real treat tonight.
Yeah, this was before I was a professional video guy. So just putting that out there in the house.
Planet Noise Recording Artists 3.
Yeah, we can talk over this first song at least because I remember this one was pretty ripping. Yeah, this was a pretty interesting place, I guess. I don't know. It was a place to play.
Yeah, yeah. So that's Cooch on bass.
Oh, is that before? Oh, right.
Cooch was also from Peace Bomb.
Oh, so you... I've never heard this band Peace Bomb. Did they put out any records? I gotta look them up.
Yeah, there's some stuff you can check out. Yeah.
So how long have you had this guitar? Because you're in like every single picture with it.
That was like one of my first guitars. I remember actually going into a music store in Kingston, Allegro Music, and I guess like a guy and his girl who were engaged had just like broken up, and this was like a gift, and they just wanted to get rid of it.
Wow, so this guitar had some baggage even before you owned it.
Yeah, and I remember picking it up and I was like, whoa. I was like, honestly, I thought, wow, that thing's kind of ugly. And then I picked it up and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, but you add that 1-3 sticker and it changes the whole dynamic of it.
Yeah. But yeah, as soon as I played it, I just knew it was the guitar for me. Something about it.
Do you still have it?
I do. Yep.
You still play it?
I don't know. It's not really playable anymore. It's more of just like a historic piece at this point.
Yeah, right. It should be in a museum.
Yeah. Yeah, let me know if you find a museum that wants it.
I know. Well, I was going to ask you about your connection to punk rock and if there was any, because now the Punk Rock Museum in Las Vegas just opened. But I wouldn't really consider you a punk band, but I would say you came from punk roots. Is that fair to say?
I would say one of my main influences is a punk band, and that's the Minutemen.
Right.
But they're a different kind of punk band.
Right. They are like the most unpunk punk band.
They're the most unpunk punk band.
Yeah, Mike
But
Watt.
they had a huge influence on 3 and on me personally. And I think I always took like punk as more of an attitude than a sound.
Right, exactly.
Because
3 definitely has a DIY.
Whatever the rules are, I'm gonna break them, you know. And so sometimes it's breaking the rules of punk, which is like keeping the music at a certain minimal technical level. I wanted to break out of that, you know. I wanted to move past. I wanted to break every rule.
Yeah, totally.
If someone told me something shouldn't be done, then I wanted to do it, and that's kind of how 3 became very eclectic.
Yeah. That's a good. I think that's a good way to do music, make music. How, it's so crazy looking at this now because you guys seem so young, but I was like 17, 18 at the time, and you guys seem so old and wise to me at the time, you know? And now I'm
It's
like, oh my
amazing what a
God, you're
couple of years
children.
is, you know, at
I
that
know,
age.
like, look at Billy. He's like a baby.
Whoa, yeah,
And
man.
this Fantastic Four shirt, is that just like to contrast the three that he always
Yeah,
wore that?
there's supposed to be some kind of irony there, I think.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Well, he was kind of the fourth member.
Right.
We were a trio for a while, but that's not why it was called Three.
Right. Well, I know it's a kind of a cliche question, but I guess I'll ask it. Like, what's up with the name Three? I know it has like some personal connections. Or, here's my question: really, is if you had started this band post Google era, like, would you still name your band Three?
That's a good question. I mean, I probably have to come up with something else because
Yes, for the audience out there, Three existed before basically the internet did.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, the internet was around, but you know, people weren't really taking it very seriously. And,
Right.
oh, I guess it wasn't around when the early days.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when did you
I didn't
start?
have
Like,
it. It was around, but I didn't have it.
when did Three start? Like 94 or something? like that?
92.
90. Wow, 92.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, what was Josh, like 11?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I'm like trying to do the math. Like, I'm thinking in 90, right? Because you played, I'm going to definitely ask you about Woodstock, but you played 94 at Woodstock and he was like 14 there, right? So,
Yep, he was 14 there. Yeah, we needed a drummer, you know, and my dad happened to have some drums kicking around the house and put a drum in front of Josh and said, "Josh, play that," and he did, and right away it sounded really good.
did you have any bands or musical projects before Three?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, what was your first band?
Well, I guess, you know, we started playing just me and Josh kind of, and then we started playing we started a band. It was called The Breeze, but it wasn't the breeze as in like wind blowing by. It was the breeze as in the cheese.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what it means, multiple cheeses, but Billy was in that band and he named it, and he said it's Brie or I'm quitting, because there was a girl named Brie that he liked. So he forced us to have that name.
Did it work out for them?
No,
He's like, oh, well, screw
Didn't
that.
work
Well, we
out.
can be Three now.
didn't work out. And
What kind of band was that?
it was like a very early Three, you know. We were all kind of developing, just learning to play, and we also had Chris Bittner was the keyboard player, and Jesse Kimbar played bass.
Did Jesse go on and do anything?
You know, he's a player.
We'll come back to that one.
He's living in Austin now. He
Okay.
went on to do a lot of graphic design and stuff like that.
Because I know Chris is still doing all the production and everything, and I gotta shout him out because he actually did some stuff for a band that was on this show previously, Tsunami Bomb.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you know who they are, but they're like an LA punk band, but one of them lives close to you, so the
Oh, right.
remote stuff I guess he worked on. I don't know.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, they've been around for 20 something years, you know. First time I saw them, they were opening for The Damned, so
Wow.
pretty cool. Around the same time, actually. I see your questions in the chat. I'm going to get to them in the flow. Trust me. I've got a little bit of a flow here.
Yeah, but just to get back to what we were talking about there. So we had this band, The Breeze, and we actually rehearsed in a church, and which was pretty cool until like the church elder freaked out and said like she felt demonic influences in our music, and she made us stop playing and kicked us out of the church and had to call the whole board in, and they had to anoint the church. And
wow.
I was pretty confused at that moment. I was like, this is weird. It's like, I mean, I'm not, I'm just doing my thing, like making music. But they didn't let us rehearse there anymore after that. And then we did eventually get an apology. She said, she made a mistake. We were just a little out of tune. So it wasn't actually demons.
You weren't playing the devil's chord.
No. Well, we might have hit a few devil's chords in there, but yeah. After that, we wound up in a kind of a death metal band.
Whoa.
Right
You're
off
like,
the
well, if
bat.
you're gonna think we're satanic, we're gonna go full satanic, right?
Well, it wound up being I just wound up being the guitar player, and this band was called Voodoo Dolly Pincushion.
Ooh. Tell me there's a recording of this band.
There is somewhere. I don't know if I have it. I mean, it was pretty bad. But
But it
the band had a lot of potential,
you could revive those songs now though, and probably
Yeah.
play them well, and then maybe it would be a good record.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I cut my teeth on that stuff. I just basically soloed over everything.
That's cool.
But yeah,
you play shows.
We played shows. We had a
That's
little
one for the
following.
Wikipedia guys.
Yeah, not many people know about that.
Yeah,
And
see, I'm
then,
digging up the dirt.
Yeah, and then basically, our lead singer, who was a guy named Eric McDowell, he moved away, and a couple of other people wanted to step in, but nah, we didn't want to do it without Eric, so it kind of fell apart, and the Breeze broke up because Billy and Jesse wanted to go strictly Christian music.
Oh.
And I said, I'm sorry guys, but like I don't see myself, limiting myself to that. Like I'm on a different artistic journey here. So we broke up and changed the name to 3. And it was me, Josh, and Chris Bittner. Chris Bittner moved over to the bass, and then and that was that.
Wow. And so was Josh the original drummer of 3 as well?
Yep.
That was the original trio. Yeah, and I guess I'll skip to this now. There's a song about your original lineup on a couple of your records here.
Oh.
What's it called?
The Game.
The Game. Yeah, that's an interesting song. Did you offend anybody with that one, or did everyone think it was funny?
I mean, I think the guys in the band.
Was it serious at the time? Were you mad at them?
Music, we take out our feelings and process them through music. So at the time we were making a record, and Josh and Chris cut their tracks, bass and drums, and then just kind of left me in the studio with the producers, kind of fending for myself. And I was kind of wishing they were there with me, like helping to support the vision a little bit. I felt a little bit frustrated. And
for the audience who's maybe never heard this song, can you tell them what it is?
Well,
I want to hear you describe it.
It's a heartwarming tale of mass murder and eventually suicide of the band. So yeah,
very whimsical.
Yeah, start off. It's like a little kind of very folky number where
you'd think like a song like that would be more like the Voodoo Pincushion Doll, but no, it's very folky sort of.
It is, yeah. I like to juxtapose, the subject matter with the music. But yeah, basically kill my bass player, and then kill my drummer, and then I reunite the band by killing myself. And
it's a heartwarming end to a couple records of yours.
Yeah, it made sense at the time, and I remember Josh was like, "This should be our single," and but the producer would heard that, and he was like, he wanted nothing to do with it. But I mean, I thought it was kind of a funny.
I think it's funny, yeah.
Little tune, but
so was that Paint by Number, or was that?
Yeah, that was the making of Paint by Number.
Okay, so I don't want to get there yet because I want to try to go a little bit in order here, but I'm definitely going to talk about that record. I mean, you guys were okay when I heard of your band originally. I mean, this was before Coheed blew up, so you guys were actually the big deal to us. It's like, oh my God, did you hear that he used to be in this band 3 and they played Woodstock and they were on a major label? Like when you guys came to town finally, we thought you were fucking rock stars. So I definitely want to talk about how. I know you've talked about it a little bit, but I want to dig into this whole Columbia thing. How did that happen? Were you even old enough to sign a contract at that time? What's the deal?
You know, we had a couple of, we'd been sort of getting some interest from labels.
I mean, 92, what were you, 15, 16?
Yeah,
You started the
15.
band?
Yeah.
Wow.
16. Yeah.
Yeah.
But wasn't until, it's funny. I remember starting the band and saying, we were all playing in my garage. We're like, we're going to be famous, And I was like, guys, you got to be realistic. This is going to take at least 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And yeah, it turned out. So about 2 years after that,
not too bad.
I had a friend actually who was interning at Universal Records. And he came to me and said, like, hey man, like, I've heard your demos, like, it sounds great. I really want to impress my boss. Like, can I play your stuff?
And what kind of demos did you have at the time? Anything that's out there?
Yeah, it was if there's some demos of a song called I'm Not Dead.
I'm not sure. I know there was like a demo that I heard that had like automobile and knife. I don't know. It was a bunch of murder weapons.
Yeah, knife was on there. Yep.
Okay, so I think that's probably the one. Yeah.
And
like 7 songs.
There was a song called Earth Rotates. It's all pre Paint by Number stuff.
Right.
Before Paint by Number. So anyway, he played this stuff for his boss, and his boss was like, whoa, like, wasn't expecting to hear something that was actually good. And one thing led to another. And before we knew it, we were heading down to New York City for a sit down with a guy named Doug Morris. And Doug, at the time, was the president of Universal Records. And then he would go on to be the president of a giant conglomerate of record companies that all had to be merged. But yeah, we sat down with him, and he was just like, I don't normally meet with artists until they sell me 1 million records, but he's like, I really like this stuff. And so it's like, it seemed like it was really happening. And they cut us our first check, and we almost couldn't believe it. It was a check for $75,000 just to get started. Yeah, exactly.
That's still a lot of money.
We were like, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up.
I mean, especially back then, though, that was a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And I'll never forget this. Like, so there we are. It's like me, Josh, Chris, my dad's there. He's basically one of our managers, and Mike Birnbaum. And she's like looking at us and looking at this check, and she's like, the secretary, she's like, I shouldn't be giving this
to
money
a bunch of teenagers. Yeah.
She's like, this is more than I make in a year. God damn it. And she's like handing it over. And like, as she hands it to us, my brother just like lets out a horrible fart. He just rips a fart while she's handing it. And I'm just like, oh my God. And we just made a beeline to the elevator, and then we just fell out like,
now, was that
like hysterically?
Was that technically an advance, or was just like, here's some, okay. So there was a catch to it.
It was a $250,000 record deal that we got. And it started with your first payment of $75,000 to get started. And so we dove right into making Paint by Number.
Right. So I got all my props here.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. And I guess to go with it, this shirt that's old enough to drink.
Yep.
I didn't try to put it on. It's probably a little tight, but who knows? It's pretty good condition, though.
It looks brand new.
Yeah, I don't think I wore it that much. Usually I go for black clothing, and this was a little blue for me.
I hear you.
So,
a little blue for me. I like blue.
It's good for the, it's good for the closet. Definitely keep it on a hanger somewhere. Let's see. Okay, so how long did it take? Like, there's like lore about this album. I want to get this all out there. Like, what was this considered? Do you consider this a finished record? I heard maybe that like it wasn't quite what you ever wanted it to be, or what it was supposed to be.
Those are all rough mixes.
What? They sounded phenomenal for rough mixes.
No, I mean, we were working really hard to make that record sound good, but we considered them all rough mixes.
Holy crap.
But basically, like, the whole record got sidelined, and I was just...
Right, yeah. What's the story with that? And, like, specifically, I want to know, like, do you remember where you were, what you were doing when you heard, like, that you were dropped from a major label? And how long was it between getting that check and that happening?
Oh boy, how long was that?
I mean, was this?
it was at
It seems
least,
like you put a bunch of work into this
yeah,
first,
we
right?
worked for 6 months
Okay.
on Paint by Number. Like there was 6 months of work, just and there's obviously where there were more songs recorded than what we wound up putting on that record. But we were just hard at work. They were basically like, go home, make the best record you can. That was the plan. And then like we'll start by picking a city, and we're gonna like spend the money to blow you guys up in that city. And depending on how that goes, if we like the numbers we see, we'll go national with it. And that was the plan. So we set out to do our part. We were trying to make the best record we could. And I remember, our A&R guy was Heavy D. I don't know if you know
Okay.
Heavy D.
What group was he in?
He was a hip hop guy.
Right. Yeah, I know that much. I can't place the song to his name, but I know the name for sure.
Yeah. Well, so Heavy D, he actually loved my lyrics. That was one of the main things that he latched onto. And he had said something to me. He was like, listen, man, no matter what happens, keep doing what you do, because you got something. You got something special. And it was kind of cryptic. I didn't know what he was talking about, but basically the timing of when we signed wasn't great because there was something else in the works, and it ended up being a huge like corporate merger of Universal was just one of the labels that was merged into Polygram. So they took all these labels and they fired like everyone. All the A&R guys often get fired. So they kind of fired everybody who even knew who we were. But meanwhile, we still had the money and we're working on this record. And then we come back and we're like, well, we got something we want to listen to. And they were like, oh, like we don't even know who's going to handle your project anymore because we fired, Heavy D's not here anymore. He disappeared.
So like the contract got transferred basically?
Yeah, basically like the people that were there loving our band were no longer part of the label. So now they're looking, for someone to take it on. So we met with like the new head of A&R, and he was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know, guys. Like, I'm just not really, I don't really hear, he said the classic thing, I don't hear a single. Like,
that's crazy.
And we were just like, you don't hear a single, really?
Dude,
like,
this album's full of singles.
It was just, it's a funny thing. It's like when you're asking someone to listen to something, it's like it changes the way they listen to it. You know what I mean? When you discover something yourself, it's like, whoa, it becomes sacred to you in a way, And I think that record became that for a lot of people. But in terms of this A&R guy, like I got pissed off by what he said, and I went and I wrote Wrong Side of the Road after he said he didn't hear. So that was a direct. And
there's your fucking single.
Yeah, and then in the bridge I mentioned his name.
Oh.
His name is Bradley. So yeah, I call him out by name in the bridge, and that I don't remember.
That's one question.
I remember he was a big Bob Marley fan. But other than that, yeah. So it just kind of fell apart, and
did you owe them $75,000?
No, we didn't owe them anything.
Okay.
In fact,
so
they had to buy
they at least paid for your record, basically.
Yeah, basically they paid for the record. And then it wasn't even like someone called us and said like, yeah, you guys are dropped now. It was like we had to call them to say like, hey, what's going on?
Right.
It's like that's how disassociated they were at that point, like with the merger and just the chaos and everyone losing their jobs. But it had nothing to do with us personally. It was just basically any artist who didn't sell 100,000 records that year was dropped. So you were considered excess, you're dropped. And
like, there wasn't anything in the contract that was like, you have to go through with this. They could just drop you at any time and not tell you. That just seems crazy to me from like a legal standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. The contract was so thick. There's so much in there. Like, I mean, I don't know what was in there.
So do you? I
We had a
guess
lawyer
yeah.
and all that stuff. So, but
That's
yeah, it
where
was
that
crazy.
75,000
I
went
mean,
to,
it
the
was
lawyer.
heartbreaking. It was definitely the rug was pulled out from under us all, and it was pretty frustrating. Um, but I wasn't going to give up.
No, of course not. I
And
mean,
I
that's just the
eventually,
beginning of the story, really.
yeah, I eventually had to like make peace with that record where it was at. We didn't end up getting like the whole budget of money we were supposed to get. They
Right.
just kind of like stopped giving us money. So it never got finished. It never got the final mix. It just was kind of left here's with the rough mixes that we played for the label, basically.
So, do you not have like the master tapes of this record? You just have rough mixes that they gave you, or
Um,
who has? I'm assuming it was recorded to tape, right?
yeah,
Who
yeah.
has that tape? Does it
It should
exist?
be at Applehead, but I don't know for sure. They may have like recorded over it at this point. I don't know. But
Well,
at
that's
least,
another thing I wanted to ask
yeah.
about Applehead. Am I correct in saying your father designed that studio?
He built it. He
That's pretty awesome.
designed the live room and built it from the ground up. I was there. We poured the foundation. And we were working in the earlier incarnation, which was at a different location. So what had happened is we got this record deal, and Mike ended up moving. Mike Birnbaum runs Applehead. He ended up moving locations and kind of reestablishing. And we were part of that. This is kind of just after the making of Paint by Number.
Okay.
But yeah, we were. It was a beautiful thing. My dad designed this amazing live room, and he did it in a style like I forget what the name of it is, but there's no nails. It's all like pieces of wood that fit together, and then you peg them with like a dowel. So the whole thing is like held together. It's very like old school way of building. It's a beautiful room.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I've heard about it so much over the years.
So yeah, they brought some other guy in to like design the control room because there was it's just more of a scientific laser thing that happens in there. But
Well, that was like my side question. Yeah. Dude, what else did you record for this record? And would you ever plan to like remix it? Do you own the record now, or what's the deal?
oh
with
yeah,
that?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's like a demand for it, but I would love to hear the finished product the way you always intended.
oh yeah. I mean that would be nice,
If
right?
this was a bunch of rough mixes, like holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, our rough mixes were good.
Yeah.
They weren't. We weren't done yet. We weren't quite there yet. There was a
Huh.
little more, like you can, but it kind of lends itself to the sound of that record.
I
Like
guess
the
so,
drums
because
are dry, and in your
I
face.
just accept it for what it is, and it
Yeah,
sounds good to
yeah.
me. Like,
It's
of
it's
course,
really well recorded. And
totally.
ironically, I never got to have a budget like that again. you
Right.
know,
Well,
so
yeah, the whole music industry kind of changed like right after that
yeah. So
too. So
I caught the tail end of like the big music industry, like what it used to be, and I really didn't understand why we couldn't just reach out to like Doug Morris and be like, "Hey, Doug, like what's going on?" But everyone, even our lawyer and our management was like, "No, you can't do that. You can't talk to Doug." So I don't know. It was just a strange thing,
I always said if I was born 10 years earlier, I would have had my 90s record contract. But like my high school band started in like 1999, so it was kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
like the next step is just MySpace and Napster, man.
Yep. Yeah, it pretty much melted down. It's like the next, real record deal, like my budget was 10% what my first record deal was.
We'll talk about Metal Blade in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I have some, well, not personal ties to them, but project ties to them.
Oh, nice.
Well, I want to play this video in the background while we talk, because I want to hear your thoughts on it and maybe what you remember from this. And do you hate this song now? Is this retired from your repertoire?
Oh, I mean, I play it once in a while. People still ask for it, so.
I bet. I mean, I heard you play it once in 2002 and then never again. But then again, like, you kind of started, you had so much material that you didn't need to go back to the well of this album. So I get that too.
Yeah.
But-
An interesting aside. You see the smokiness
Yes.
in there. That's all bong hits.
See the fun facts here on VonPod. Where did you record this video and who made this video?
This is, oh God, this was Neil. The guy's name was Neil. I can't think of his
Where's
last
that
name.
guitar again?
Yep.
Was this so?
This is our house. We had a band house on
Okay.
28, and that room you see us playing in, that's where Coheed rehearsed every Saturday for a year
Nice.
before they even settled on the official name. And
Yeah. Well, was it before they were even Shibuti, or?
well, they had been Shibuti, but they were kind of transitioning, and so they were like thinking
Right.
about different names.
Yeah, because Josh wasn't the original.
They were Leader
drummer of
One
that
for a
band.
minute.
Right.
They were like considering Paris in Flames as a name.
Which is a line from one of their songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because the last time I think I actually saw 3, and here, if you're into numerology, check this out: 10, 11, 12. October 11th, 2012,
Oh,
at Webster Hall, opening for Coheed.
nice.
And I remember you on stage telling the story of, I remember these guys rehearsing in my, I thought you said your kitchen, but
Well, it wasn't quite the kitchen, but the kitchen was right next to the. It was pretty much my living room.
yeah. And what were they playing back then? Like the stuff that became their first record?
Yeah, Second Stage, Turbine Blade. Yeah.
Dude, this is a hit, man. They really messed up.
Yeah, I don't even know if like the A&R guy ever got to hear this.
Yeah, it's kind of like the final fuck you to them because it's like,
Yeah.
well, you wanted the hit, here's the hit, but it's written about you. I didn't know that. That's a fun fact.
Yeah.
Do you still like this song?
This
Do you
is,
still
this
like?
is the, oh, I do, yeah.
I was
If you-
always
if you
wondered
hear,
like,
you'll hear me call him out. His
is it
name's
coming up?
Bradley.
Let's see. Oh,
Name's
okay.
Bradley.
I never caught that. Yeah, I'm always more of a music guy first than lyrics. Here's a question. So you drew this cover,
Yep.
and I heard you mention in an interview once, and then they didn't ask about it, so I want to ask about it. That there was supposed to be a comic book.
Yes, I was working on a 3 comic book.
What
It was
is
a
this-
band. It was a comic book. It was a whole concept, but I tried to do everything myself.
What's the concept? What was the story of the comic book? How far did that go? And maybe we can reissue the comic book with the remixed album, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never finished the comic book. I only did a
Right.
couple of pages, and it was. I mean, the story wasn't that well planned out. We were in it, and so it was like our closest friends, and I don't know. We were using like our musical superpowers to save the universe, basically. But I did have like other more elaborate ideas, but
Do tell.
well, I had this concept of it was like a kind of a sci-fi universe where was actually like the spiritual masters of the society would sort of be able to reach this ability to meditate themselves into a state where they could power, like they could connect. They're these statues, right? And people just think they're statues, but they're actually like robots that can defend the planet. And so but they're so ancient, like people just think they're statues, but like these like spiritual leaders who develop the ability are able to actually connect their consciousness to the robots, and then they like crack out of the stone and defend the planet from like an imminent invasion, that kind of thing.
And what is the band's role in that story?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
But that's where it was somehow it was going to go there. That was
yeah.
there's
I always thought that was fascinating. It's like, hey, we're gonna do a comic book. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Could have done it before Koei did their comic book. You had that idea.
it was a thing that I was working on, but I never pulled it off, and I'm not sure how the Coheed comic thing started, but once
Right.
they sort of popularized it, and at the time I was a little worn out by people being like, "Oh wow, you guys sound like Coheed," and I was just kind of like, "Oh, well, we're actually grew up in the same scene as those guys, and
Yeah.
like there's some mutual like influence there for sure."
Well, let me skip to that question now. I was gonna try to go in order, but hey, we're gonna go wherever this goes.
Yeah.
Did
Wave.
you actually ever feel like the two bands influenced each other?
Yeah, I think so.
And in particular, I had a question about a song. These Iron Bones. Was that sort of Coheed influence? Because I kind of hear like that could have totally been a Coheed song.
No, I mean, I just
That
wrote it.
wasn't an
I
intention,
didn't.
huh?
No, it wasn't intentional. No. Um, I definitely just came up with like a riff and a melody.
Hmm.
But I think just playing together when you're kids,
Oh yeah, of course.
and I think I'm about 3 years older than Claudio.
Here, I found a
Oh,
flyer.
yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah, a couple more
Two
images.
bands for $1, dude. Could you imagine seeing 3 and Shibuti for
Two bands
$1?
for $1.
That's a fucking deal right
Yeah,
there.
that's how
What
old
was
we are,
the Tinker Street Cafe?
and we could eat for weeks off that.
Yeah, right.
Like we were set. Um, Tinker Street Cafe is the place I played my first gig in Woodstock. It was small, little stage, little room, but just an amazing. I don't know what you want to call it. It was just a place. A lot of people, big people, stepped on that stage. You never knew. I mean, Dave Matthews played there.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you never knew who was gonna come through. But yeah, I played my first gig there, and kept it going, and we played the last gig before they shut it down. We played the last show there. So
Oh wow. So it's still around.
yeah, these are images from the comic book also. More. So that's
Oh
me.
really?
That's me. That's
Okay.
Josh. Chris Bittner's down at the bar.
So this must be Shibuti before Josh was in the band, huh?
Yeah, Josh was in 3.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
This was Nate Kelly was drumming
Right. Nate Kelly.
for Shibuti.
I never saw that lineup, but I've heard the name before. For
So
sure.
Nate, we were playing with Nate's bands. That's what it started with. Okay, Nate was in a band called Mo and the Boogie Cats.
Whoa, that's a name. That's a name. That's
So
up there with Voodoo whatever doll.
Voodoo Dolly Pincushion.
Voodoo
Yeah.
Dolly. That's a lot of syllables. 3 is
So
a lot simpler.
yeah, we so we were playing with Mo and the Boogie Cats, and Nate was the drummer, and Gabor on bass, Damian Shannon on guitar, and they had the singer Orion was his name. And it kind of fell apart when Orion joined like a UFO cult out in Arizona or something, and they lost their singer, and then Nate started playing with some other guys, Travis and Claudio and Mike Todd on the bass, and that was kind of his new band. And I was like, whoa, these guys are like really dug it, And I remember there was Claudio had this acoustic album. I think it was called Penelope.
Right, the EP.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I had it on cassette tape.
Right,
that's how it came, and we were definitely, kind of kindred musicians. I mean,
sure.
I dug what so we started playing together like pretty frequently. But they would open for us. We were the bigger band at the time.
You were the bigger band when I first heard of you. Like I was saying, Coheed, they were getting a buzz, but they weren't, what they are today, playing the biggest shows in the world and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, and they had gone to Applehead, to record.
Right. Yeah.
And
Well, I know Jay DeZuzio started their record, but they thought that was a bunch of demos, and Apple I think they finished it there.
oh, right, yeah, there was that, but there was actually another recording before that. That was
Okay. It was like the Delirium Trigger.
yeah, I think it was the
That
Delirium
stuff.
Trigger.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. But it had like a little classical sort of riff in it in the middle, I think, that
Yeah,
Chris
I think
Bittner
that.
actually came up with.
Oh, that's cool.
Because he kind of produced it. He kind of
Right.
brought those guys in and produced the track for them. Which,
Sure.
and then they went and recorded what would become the Second Stage Turbine Blade.
Yeah. So I remember, like, I was very deep in the scene when that was happening, so I was hearing like rough mixes and stuff. Probably stuff I wasn't supposed to be hearing, but you know,
yeah.
I knew people, so.
But Applehead was the exact right spot to bring that, because they were able to take that and make it sound really good. You know,
Right.
they had the right tools. And you know, Chris Bittner's a brilliant engineer. So
Yeah. And then of course their fully realized second album's just like, okay, this is what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do some, before I go to my next big step in this conversation, I'll get to some comments, questions, kind of do a little, I guess this is sort of in line with that, but I don't know if you call it choosing Coheed over 3, but is there a story about your brother leaving the band?
Sure. Josh, you know, well, where we left off, we lost our record deal, right? And it was a dark chapter. It's something like, you know,
right, because he plays on most of these songs.
Yeah, he plays on every song except for one.
Right. Is that Wrong Side?
Nope. Paint by Number has Chris Gartman on drums.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you know, sometimes the vibe when your little brother is your drummer, you know, Josh would quit the band almost every rehearsal, and I would just simply put him in a headlock.
Right.
And I would drag him upstairs, and I would hold his head over the toilet, and I would threaten him with a swirly, which is where you flush their head in the toilet. And he's like, okay, I don't quit. I'm back in the band.
Right.
I was like, all right, that's right. But
yeah,
you know,
my brother's in the chat, and we've had some bands together, but
so that was, you know, but I mean, he was 11, right? You know, 12, 13, 14, 15, you know, 16, he was starting to get bigger than me. 17,
right.
by the time he was
18, you let him quit by then.
Yeah, by the time he was 18, I was like, all right, you're a man now. So if like you quit, like I'm not gonna, you know, I will respect that, you know, I had to. And I think he was under a lot of pressure for various reasons, and there was a lot of heartbreak after losing that record deal. Sure. And he quit. And he didn't just quit the band, he quit playing drums. He didn't play for 2 years. And I moved on. I was like, well, I'm not gonna quit.
Right.
I'm gonna, and you know, I think he was probably a little bit hurt too that I moved on, you know, and I went and I got his favorite drummer, which was Chris Gartman.
Right.
And Chris used to come over and give Josh lessons in the early days of 3, and we would sneak out of the house and go see Chris play with Peace Bomb. We were too young to get into any of the places, so we'd have to find ways to sneak in. But so years later, so there was no like choosing Coheed over 3. Yeah. Josh chose to leave the drums behind, and you know, that was sad, because I knew, like, of all of us, I felt that Josh was the most natural musician. Like, he didn't even have to like try to sound good, he just sounded good, you know, from the moment he started playing. You know, there was like 2 weeks maybe, and I was 3 years older than him, that I could maybe outplay him on the drums, you know, but my 11-year-old little brother was a better drummer than me, you know, very quickly. So
he's got some skills.
Yeah, and part of it comes from, like, he was also into a lot of hip hop.
Yeah, he does his rap project.
So that pulse, you know what I mean? Like, he always made sure there was a groove happening. You know what I mean? It was never just like technical, like, look at me, I'm doing this. It was like there was always a beat, and then the technical stuff was there too. But the groove always came first with him, and that's what was really special. but yeah, 2 years went by, and I remember getting a call from Claudio, and he's like, "Hey man, like, would you mind if I asked your brother to play drums for us?" And I was just like, "Oh, well, like." To preface this, I was at a I think it was actually Shibuti. It was a Shibuti performance.
Yeah, no, he was in the band as they were Shibuti because I definitely saw that.
Um, this was before Josh,
Oh,
but this
okay.
was the last.
Then definitely
This was
Shibuti.
the last show with Nate Kelly. I was there. I was at the Joyous Lake, and Nate was a really talented dude. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
super talented, and not just as a drummer. Like, he had a concept of the band, and I think Claude and Travis were a little bit younger and still kind of like, they had an issue in the early days where their strings weren't really like stretched well on their guitars, and they would play really hard, so they would just beat their guitars out of tune by the end of the song, and it was just kind of like a mess. And I saw Nate, like, he was just like getting so frustrated up there, and it was turning red, and he finally, like, at the end of the song, he just threw his drumsticks and said, "I quit."
Well, those guys hit their guitars pretty hard back then.
Yeah, so
I've seen Claudio break stages back then just with that stomp. So
yeah. Well,
you know,
Nate quit, and then I got a call from Claudio, like, "Hey, would you mind if I asked your brother to play the drums?" And I was like, I would be like so happy, if you could connect with Josh and get him back to doing what he really does best, So I was in full support, and nothing made me happier than to see him get behind the kit again. And he had started play a little bit again. He was playing with a band called Method of Groove, and it wasn't really much. I don't know. I don't need to say anything negative, but it wasn't, but it was something for get him back into it, and he kind of fell into it and made some friends and starting to play again. So I think the rumors were going, "Oh, Josh is playing again." And
seemed
then,
to work out.
I thought it was cool that Claudio called me and asked.
Yeah,
And I was just like,
that's
"Yeah,
cool.
totally."
Very respectful.
And then, and then eventually Josh was like, "Hey man, we need a place to rehearse. You think we could play at your place?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, we're all set up. We got a PA. Like, it's a band house. Like, get over here, So they came over, and so we were always very supportive of each other, and then I remember, like, those guys had some interest from Equalvision, very quickly. And I was at a show. I think it was up in the Albany area. I forget exactly what the name of the place was.
Valentine's?
No, it wasn't Valentine's. It was actually I can't remember, like, the suburb. It wasn't. It was maybe a little north of Albany. But they were doing this show, and the guys from Equalvision were coming out, and I'm watching them play, and there's literally like a 12-year-old kid at the mixing board, and it's like the band is playing, Claudio's singing his heart out, but you can't hear his vocals at all.
Oh no!
And I listen to this band every Saturday, like, whether I want to or not. I'd be like still trying to sleep at noon while they were rehearsing. So, but I knew the songs really well, and I knew his vocal sound. So
It's
I was
kind
just
of an
like, "Hey,"
integral
like,
piece of the puzzle.
yeah, and I was just like, "Hey, these guys rehearse at my place. Would you mind if I tweaked the board a little bit?" And so I hopped on the board, and I got those vocals up, because you need to hear those vocals, and then I added the delay and the reverb that kind of, he almost had like this Perry Farrell like style vocal treatment back then it was just kind of the sound.
Yeah.
And I got that going, and I mean, in my own head, like, this is what I think, but like, I feel like once those vocals became audible, like the Equalvision guys were like, "Oh, okay." Like, maybe, like, maybe they weren't completely sold in that moment, but I think, like, if they never got to really hear his vocals, like, it wouldn't helped. You know what I mean?
Everyone thinks that they're responsible for Coheed.
Exactly.
Here,
but it's funny, like, all the things that have to fall into place.
Of course,
it's like the connections that my brother had to bring that band to Applehead. That was all Josh.
I mean, Josh claims credit for it too.
Yeah, but it's just a tremendous amount of things have to happen in order for things, in order to be lucky. I mean, just things have to fall into place, and then you have to be also talented and good at what you do. So
And it was good. The last thing I saw that you put out basically was you two playing together again.
oh yeah,
And that
yeah.
was like so cool to see. I only saw one song. I'm hoping you're going to release the rest of it at some point, but
You know, it's a funny
man,
thing.
you guys totally lock in together. I mean, it's
We
totally there.
you know, we don't practice at all. We
I
just
believe
play.
that.
But yeah, we got to do more stuff. The audio from that show is not good quality audio. It was like I actually had to like do a lot of work just to make one song sound okay, because the drums are super buried. Like we have this board mix, so you get my vocal and acoustic.
Right.
The drums are just so like the stereo mic is so far in the back of the room. The drums just they're not like present. So in order to like make them audible, it took some like I had to do some crazy like magic studio shit.
Well, I mean, again, it's like I'm used to watching bootlegs, so just to see you two play together. I've never seen you play together in the same band, so that was really
Oh,
cool.
there's some good stuff to check out. I'll have to
Yeah, send me some stuff.
Are you on my Patreon?
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I'll send a link to you.
Oh, sweet.
Because there's an Eppard Brothers show.
Right, that's what I
Did
saw.
a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
That's like well recorded with lots of video. It's actually pretty cool because it's half playing songs, but it's also half talking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's me, Josh on drums, and my dad on bass. And so we just kind of like talk about the history, and we play songs like Knife, and play all the early 3 stuff, and
nice
laugh, and then play some of my dad's songs. And
yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
I mean, dude, you guys are both rhythm players, really, so it really locks in together.
It does feel just right when I play with Josh, you know?
Yeah, it seems, I mean, trust me, no, 3 is full of virtuoso players, but there's a certain, like you said, he has a certain groove, and you have a certain groove too.
Yes, we have a biologically
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, our groove is biological.
Yeah, here's another question from my brother about guitars, because I'm a little lost on the guitar stuff, but are you still endorsed by Ovation and ESP? What models? What is it about those guitars you like?
Well, the Ovation, it was like a destiny, you know, the minute I picked up an Ovation and the rounded back, the way the guitar sits, because the back is round, it turns up towards you a little bit, you know? And when you play one of those like fat, like flat backed acoustics, it turns away from you. And it's just like, oh, it's very, it kind of, but like when it turns towards you and you could look down, you could see every note you play. It's just so comfortable and it flows. And also like I could break all the strings and swing it around by the strings, and I could tomahawk the drums with it and it wouldn't break. And
here, speaking of that, while you're talking, I have another video I'll show. This one is also from the Nyack Center, probably a backdoor event. I don't think I was there though, but somehow I ended up with the tape, and my singer of my punk band plays right after you, so I feel like I should have been there, but I don't remember being there.
Huh.
And it's just playing acoustic. And I think you break a string during the first song, so that's why I reminded of it.
Well, that would be that would be typical. I broke a lot of strings.
Yeah, you're playing on the floor this time. Yeah. And I think Billy's on stage playing electric guitar.
Those were the days of the beret.
Yeah, what's up with the beret? You were wearing that a lot back then.
They used to call me Beret in high school.
Before you got those long locks, like the show that we
started
with.
Actually, I would go back and forth. I had long hair in high school. I grew up pretty long. I had long flowing hair. In fact, I see pictures of myself back then. I'm like, oh my God. It's, you know, without the hair on your face, with the long hair, it's like almost looked too pretty. It was kind of weird. But yeah, you know, I would wear this beret, and it would cause a stir in school, like, because, you know, most of the jocks all had like starter baseball caps, and so when they saw something that was different, really challenged them mentally, and they decided they had to attack. So I would get they what did they call me? They called me Beret first. Then it was Ponce de Leon.
What does that mean?
Ponce de Leon is like I think an explorer. And then they called me Amerigo Vespucci,
Oh,
which I got to give them some credit there. It was pretty funny. But they would try to steal my beret. Yeah, and finally, like, I don't know, there was like this 7-foot guy grabbed my beret, and I put my hand up and I held on to it and I wouldn't let go. And so he kept pulling. So he dragged me out of my chair in the cafeteria at lunch and dragged me all through the cafeteria, but I never let go. And finally he just felt so awkward. He just let go and he just kind of went back to sit down. And
you wore this thing in high school too?
yeah, this is my go-to hat in high school.
Oh, wow.
Wear my beret. But yeah, it was a strange thing. They saw me once, like after a football game, and like the whole senior class came after me and they surrounded the car I was in and started smashing bottles on it. And they were like chewing tobacco, so they were like spitting all over the window. It was kind of terrifying and gross. And they're all chanting, "Beret, beret!" And I was like, "Geez, man, it's just a hat. Like, why can't I wear a hat that's different?" But
yeah, there's Billy.
Yeah,
with some dice.
Oh God, look at the dice.
Yeah. What was cool about 3 when I was in high school was the punks liked you and the jocks liked you.
Right on. Yeah, well that's my comfort zone, man. I like to bring people together.
Yeah. What?
It's funny, a lot of those guys that were acting that way then, within a year or two, were coming to my shows. So
right. Yeah, exactly.
It all turned around pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, when people are scared, they target things that are different, and that's
sure.
I was kind of different.
What is slimy penis breath?
That was my uncle's punk band. And there's some debate as to who coined the name, but I remember Josh coming up with the name, and then my uncle is the punk rocker in the family.
Okay.
He taught us a lot, just very like incredible performer.
Well, speaking of punk rock, there's another question in the chat. Well, it's pertaining to 2 things. I have a feeling this came from Wikipedia, where it just says very basic things. I think what it probably means, and you can clarify this for me, is that you played with members of these bands, but P-Funk and Bad Brains. I know you were in that band Drugs with some P-Funk guys, right?
Yeah, members of Parliament Funkadelic, and we toured with Parliament Funkadelic.
Oh, okay. So you toured with them, but you weren't in Parliament Funkadelic.
Well, I would get to go on stage with them.
Oh, okay.
And sing backup vocals, yeah.
I was trying to look up Drugs today. Were you on like their record, or did you come in afterwards?
Yeah, I'm on the record. It's Drugs and the Miss Americans. I mean, I'm not on every song.
Okay.
But
it's not listed on your Discogs. We got to add that.
Oh, yeah. We should definitely.
And I had found even like there was a music video for one of the songs.
Oh, I would be interested to see that.
Oh, well, let's.
I remember shooting it, but I don't think I ever saw.
I don't know if it's the same thing, but let's see if I can pull it up.
Ironically, the song we shot a music video for, I didn't actually play anything on the recording.
Yeah, because I was listening to it, I was like, this doesn't sound like him at all.
Yeah, I was on the track Miss America and wrote part of that song.
See. Oops, I wrote Drugs. The prescription for Miss America. When was this band?
Boy, like
what part of the 3 history did this come in?
This would have been in the early 2000s.
Okay.
I was doing a little session at Applehead, and Clip, who's had moved to Woodstock, and Clip is from P-Funk, and he heard me sing, and he was like, "I want to do something with this kid." we ended up doing a track together for an artist called Alex Gopher, who was
Okay.
actually pretty big. He would just send tracks basically to Clip, and Clip would produce, some vocals on them. And
This is the music video I found. I don't know if it's an official video or what.
oh, this wasn't what I was thinking. This is just the song "Brain on Drugs." Yeah.
Uh-huh. Was this an officially put out music video, or?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. Let's see, Miss America. Is this the song?
Yep, that's me.
All right. Is this on Spotify? Is this like out there that we can hear it?
I don't know.
That'd be good to check out, yeah. And then what's this? I know there's, Bad Brains. Like Dr. No was like your fruit guy, right?
That is true.
So,
Yeah.
like you didn't play. Like, did you play with them at all, or?
We played
he
some
was on.
shows with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We played, and
3 and the Bad Brains.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but they couldn't call themselves the Bad Brains.
Oh, was it the Soul Brains at the
They had to
time?
call themselves Soul Brains. Yeah.
So they were just doing the reggae stuff at the time.
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
they just couldn't call themselves the Bad Brains for some contractual reason or something.
Mhm.
Like the record company owned the name.
I thought it was because HR didn't want to be bad anymore, but that could be a whole story. Who knows?
Oh no. Oh wait, maybe it is. Maybe I'm saying too much. I don't know. But they were. We grew up with those guys, in our hometown with Doc and Daryl, and
Mhm.
so we just knew them.
Yeah, because Doc's he does that stuff on the Coheed record too.
Yep, yeah, and he
There's like a whole. I know there's like a whole association with the area, and
yeah, and he played on and produced some 3 stuff too. Like
oh yeah,
he
what 3 stuff?
messed around. There's tracks that never came out,
Ah,
but
where's the anthology, Joey?
but he he also would come in and kind of listen and be like, oh, try a couple of different edits. Like he would hear something, like we valued his ideas and his opinion, and
Nice.
he's definitely a good guy to have in your your influences, and to
Mhm.
grow up with, look up to.
I did meet HR once or twice. I never met the other guys, although I did see them at CBGB's once.
Okay, yeah.
Like the last week of shows, I went to one of those. That was pretty cool.
Well, Daryl is a hell of a bass player, man.
Oh my God, the
Awesome.
best. Yeah. I mean, I'm a bass player too, and that guy's just, when I heard that Roar cassette, just like my mind exploded.
Yeah, and he's just so awesome. And he actually a couple of years ago called me up and was like, had me come over to his place and gave me a couple of tunes to learn. It was like he's been writing some pretty cool stuff,
Nice.
and he wanted to
He
do a couple of,
produces too, right? Like, didn't he do
yeah,
like the
oh, yeah,
Sample Gold record and stuff like that?
yeah. He produced. He's got a nice little recording set up, and
Nice.
we were actually gearing up to do a gig when COVID hit, and kind of just ruined the whole thing.
Oh man.
We were actually playing it was like a gathering of doctors
Right.
with the gig we were gonna do, and then it was but I got to reconnect with him and get back over there now, because
Yeah, dude.
really
I
cool.
want to see that. Dude, I have a car now. I can drive to a show.
Yeah,
I would come see that show. Let's see. I'm still going through these comments. You don't sound anything alike. Yeah. Where's Daniel? He has an opinion on the coincidences in these iron bones.
where's Daniel?
I think he's saying he has an opinion on that song. That
Daniel's on the West Coast.
okay. Your guitar style is very percussive. Yes, almost like a slap bass. Was that the intent, or where did that evolve from? And do you ever play with a pick?
I mean, I tried to play with a pick a few times, and I kept dropping it.
Because even when I've seen you with an electric guitar, you're still just using the fingers.
Yeah, I'm just a fully finger style. When I want that pick sound, I just use an invisible pick, and it's my fingernail. But what brought me to the guitar was finger picking. Like that's what I liked to do, and I only really played acoustic guitar in the early days.
Right.
And I did. I was definitely just had a natural inclination to be percussive, and playing with a loud band made me even more percussive.
Right.
And then I remember this time my dad was like, "Hey, I'm going to take you to see a banjo player," and I was like, "Oh, Dad, a banjo player, really?" So he takes me to the show, and it's Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, and I'm just like floored by this performance.
Where
And
was that?
this was at the Bearsville Theater, and they
Okay.
were on their UFO Tofu tour.
And now you play there all the time, right?
Yeah, and I was in the front row for this, and I got to see these guys are playing 267 note palindromes on banjo and bass, and they're just ripping like just ridiculous. But Victor Wooten, like, I mean, his approach and his way of playing, it just like it. I think I was 14, and it just helped me solidify my own like inclination to take a unique approach to my instrument, and I also like was into Primus, and I was like, well, like,
yeah, totally.
I was like, why can't somebody approach a guitar like Les Claypool approaches a bass, And I just thought like it'd be interesting to have that as an element in a band along with, somebody else, another guitar player who's playing with a pick, you know what I mean? Right. That's what we always, I had Billy playing with a pick and me doing my finger style thing, and I thought it was a good combination. It's nice to cover all the nuances and different things you can do.
Here's a question involving the Bearsville. When Lindsay played and Chris and Josh played side by, was it the DVD release party when they all played side by side?
Well, that was my birthday show.
Oh, okay.
Had a birthday show at the Bearsville Theater, and we did there are some we did record that, and there's some videos on YouTube that
recently
in the recent recently, like
right
2018.
that's recent to me. Yeah, the Coheed is like a year, and COVID, not Coheed. Right. COVID is like a year in my mind.
I know. I made that same slip up a few times.
That's funny. Yo, you got the Coheed.
Yeah.
High school, I had a hat I wore every day too. The whole band signed it in 2005. It didn't survive the hat haters in the end.
The hat haters, man. Like some people are very triggered by hats. They just can't handle it. But I think you have to respond with love. Even when they're hating on you and hurting your hat.
Hurting the hat. Oh, well, you know what? Before I do the next question, you want to see the quickest 3 bootleg ever?
Sure.
Okay, so this is here's another connection we have. Now let me get organized here. Where's my slide for this? So this is a show I mentioned before we got on the air where my band Milton. Actually, you played before us, so technically you opened for us.
Oh, nice.
But you were the headlining act on the flyer with the Tattletales and Interference, which was Jason who recorded the Coheed record.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I was in this band Milton, so we played this show together July 10th, 2002.
Wow.
I know, right?
2002.
I know. And I have a video of you playing from that day. July, what is it? I think it's this one. Yeah, it's the worst video ever. I don't think I'm filming because I was probably getting prepared. That's my friend Maria. I went digging for this. I was like, I know I have a clip from this show because I always had all my shows recorded. So,
Wow.
and
I don't know, man. I think we might have to anoint the
there
church
you
after
go.
that. I don't know.
And okay, so I remember this about you at this show is you wore this bicycle helmet all night.
Oh, that was my bicycle helmet face.
Yeah, what's up with your bicycle helmet face?
Oh, this was after they had taken my beret.
So you were like, I gotta protect my head this time. I gotta strap it in.
You know what? I actually had done a drug show and I wore the bicycle helmet and I was able to use my head to crash some cymbals.
That's
And I thought that
nice.
was kind of fun. So
That's the whole clip. That's the last like 10 seconds of your show.
wow.
Yeah.
I would just do random things like that sometimes, wear a bicycle helmet.
But I remember like talking to you backstage and you had the bicycle helmet on backstage too. Backstage being, the back room of the NIAC Center. It's not really.
I think I felt comfortable with I might go back to that.
Hey, that's
That
an
could be
idea
my
right
thing,
there.
my new
You
thing.
still have that helmet or do you need to buy a new one?
We've got some bicycle helmets. We ride bikes around here, so it's
Great. So that's the bike. Okay, I checked off the bicycle helmet question.
that's a rare bicycle helmet.
So yeah, that's
only did that
that's the
twice.
worst bootleg of a 3
Yeah.
show ever, but you got the bicycle helmet, so it's worth something. My brother's asking any favorite bands you played or toured with. I know you toured with Dream Theater. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, we toured with Dream Theater, Porcupine Tree.
I used to film John Petrucci's wife's band.
Oh yeah,
Well, I still film them sometimes, but she's not in it anymore.
gotcha.
Judas Priestess, an all-female Judas Priest cover band.
Oh, there you go.
So sometimes he would show up and just be hanging it out. I'm like, who's the guy with the crazy beard? Because last time I saw Dream Theater, he didn't have that stuff.
Oh,
It was a long time ago, though.
yeah. I mean, it was quite an experience. Very cool. I'm thinking about favorites. Like, what was my favorite? I don't know. There was a little tour I did actually as a solo artist, opening for Heart.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, man. Nancy Wilson picked my demo out of a pile of submissions.
When was this?
2002.
Well, that's a big year.
Yeah.
You played with me. You played with Heart.
Yeah, it was the Summer of Love tour. I remember that, and I got to hang out with Cameron Crowe because
Whoa.
He and Nancy were married at the time. So that was pretty cool. So Cameron was listening to my music, and he actually had written a review of Paint by Number, a glowing review of it, and we used to have a sticker that went on the CD. I don't know. I don't have them anymore, but
no, mine. I don't know. Mine doesn't have the sticker.
But
although I used to have a little wrong side CD that was about this big.
Oh, you had the mini
I
wrong.
had it. Yeah, up until very recently, someone bought it from me. So
somebody bought it from you. There you go.
It's still out there in the world. If you have any of those,
I can't
they're
find
worth about $100.
I can't find them, man. Like, I can't find any. I
It
might.
was a very cool item, but
I think we gave them all away. There were only 100.
Oh man,
there were only 100 of them.
Well, I had that for a very long time. I thought it was time to give it a new home.
Yeah, and then there's another one of that same size.
You can't really play that anymore. I don't know. People don't really have CD players, I guess, or you can't put it in a car at least.
No, you can't put it in a car. Yeah. Don't.
It's a little tough. Little shape there.
You'll cause some major.
Those were the days of the gimmick CD shapes.
Yeah.
That was.
Well, it was like your CD business card.
Right.
They were mini CD business cards with one song on them.
Glad to have had it for as long as I did, but yeah. Tom says Drugs is one of the best albums of all time. Oh,
jeez.
Wow. I gotta go get myself a copy. I don't know why I don't have that. Joey has an entire funk album, I believe, as well, that went completely unreleased. Is there any truth to this, Joey?
Yeah, I did make like an entire funk album.
That's different than your other solo record.
Well, there's 2 tracks on that record that came from that session, which Treetops is on there, and Static, actually.
Okay.
And that was me working with Chicken, my buddy Chicken, who Robert Burke. Bobby Burke.
Melt
But
in our
we
heart
call him
about this.
Chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
But
In,
he
in
also
our
produced,
spirits.
he produced Summer Camp Nightmare as well.
Okay.
But yeah, we did make a record that never quite came out.
I got that here. I got
Probably
all your
just
stuff here.
I could probably share that whole collection of songs with my supporters on Patreon.
Join the Patreon. There's lots of cool stuff on there.
Yeah, I mean, I've probably made some mistakes in my career trajectory. Maybe not taking advantage of some opportunities I should have. But that record got some attention actually from Clive Davis, and he wanted to sign me after hearing that stuff, and I was kind of in a strange place at the time, and 3 was really taking off, and I did not want to like step off. I didn't want to step away from 3.
Sure, yeah.
Even though this is like, that was an opportunity that people, a rare opportunity, okay, to work with someone like that.
We got some patrons in the house.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I recently joined, although I had intended to for a long time. I had to see what you were up to, man.
Oh, you should dig through, man.
I did. I went at least about a year back. Listened to all your new songs and stuff.
Cool.
We'll definitely plug that again at the end. Here's what I want to talk about. Here's my next big plot point. And of course, I'm sure you talk about this all the time, but I want to dig into it a little bit because it's just fascinating. Where is it? Of course, Woodstock. I mean, that's like mythic. That's epic. When you hear a band that is sort of a local band played Woodstock 94, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, look at that, 94. We started the band in 92.
I mean, I remember wanting to be there. I was like 10 years old at the time, and like Woodstock 94 was the biggest thing on my radar. And in probably music that whole year.
Yeah. It was it. It was huge, huge deal.
So were you on like one of the side stages or what? Like,
no.
Was there was
we
only
were on the main stage.
Why aren't you on this record?
Oh, is that the record?
I don't know.
We're in the book.
Okay, we're in the book.
It became well, we knew we were going to do Woodstock. Michael Lang was our manager. And so very early on, before the festival, like he had a plan, like we want to break the band at the festival. That was the idea.
It's a good idea.
He was like, we're going to put you guys on at like 8:00 on Friday night on the main stage. And, that was what we were working towards, and we were young, man. I mean, I was 17.
So Josh was like 14.
Josh was 14. Yeah.
How old was Chris? About your age?
Yeah, Chris was 17. So I was in high school.
Jeez. I mean, I was playing the back door when I was in high school. You played Woodstock 94.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of, it was a crazy summer. Let me put it that way. We had a lot of energy around the band, and we had a film crew. Barbara Koppel. That's a good question.
Dude, bring it to me. I can make documentary films.
Well, if we could locate the footage, like, so basically Barbara Koppel, who is, kind of a renowned documentary filmmaker, was making a documentary on Woodstock 94.
Okay.
And so that was, she had been commissioned to make this movie. And so we were the subplot of the movie. She was following us around all summer, filming our rehearsals, interviewing our parents, and filmed the set and everything.
I was gonna say, did anyone film this? Because I've never seen anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is professionally filmed. They used to follow us from show to show. I mean, it was to the point where like people.
You weren't on like the pay-per-view, were you? Because I figured if you were on like, because they streamed the whole show on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You weren't part of that, right? Because I think that would have been out there by now if you were.
I mean, I was there performing, so I don't
Right.
know like what was going out on
But
the
wouldn't
paper.
you think someone would be like, "I taped you on TV, here's your set from Woodstock," at some point in the
You would
last 30
think,
years?
yeah. I mean, you would
Yeah.
think. So they may have, but what it ended up turning into was there was like locally on a local level there was definitely like a lot of pushback on the festival, like, hey, like, what about the local bands? Like, how come the only local band that's playing is these kids, and like people basically who were jealous and didn't know anything about us, like they just like made up a lot of lies about us.
What's
So
the
they were saying,
best lie you heard about your own band?
oh, that we were a boy band, that they like people wrote all our songs for us, and um that we weren't a real band, stuff like that. And I was like, no, we're actually a real band. I wrote all these songs, and I just happened to be recording in a studio that the landlord was Michael Lang, and he came by and he heard the music and he was like, oh, this is really good.
Was
Here's a
that
guy who,
Applehead?
yeah, here's a guy who is famous for putting on the Woodstock Festival and manages artists like Sting. You know what I mean? He's like the real deal. So um we signed in a management contract with him, and he was on board, and he had a plan, and he was going to work the plan. But what happened on a local level, it was hard. It was a hard thing, man. It was like, I wasn't used to like that kind of
Yeah,
hate coming my way, and it wasn't deserved. But
sure.
there's a lot of jealous musicians, that have worked hard and not gotten what they deserve. You know what I mean? And ironically, it's like, I had an opportunity. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, but it turned into um, a lot of pressure, and then they pushed it into made it into a local day, like Friday, on the main
Mm,
stage early, and so then we kept getting pushed earlier and earlier
yeah, because you were
and
the
earlier and
first
earlier.
band, weren't you?
We weren't the first
Oh,
band. We were like I don't know, maybe the third, or
what time of the day did you play?
God, I can't remember what time it was exactly. It was like maybe 12 or 1.
Oof. Were people there?
Yeah, there was like 60,000 people there when
Oh my god.
I mean, but
That
yeah,
must have been
it turned
surreal.
into 300,000. So, but yeah, I mean, there
Still.
was a ton of, yeah, there was a huge, huge crowd. It was a rotating stage.
Yeah, I heard this part of it. Yeah,
So,
tell it again, but I've heard you talk about this part
I
where
mean,
was like
it was a little crazy.
because like the sound system was kind of like wonky because of it or something like that.
The sound was really, something weird was going on with the sound. They hadn't figured it out yet, or
Right.
they weren't interested in figuring it out for us, or sometimes, part of paying your dues is getting really messed with while you're on stage. But we were, we're on this rotating stage that's divided in half. So on one side, there's a band setting up, while there's a band facing the audience on the other side performing, right? So we got set up and ready to go. The stage rotates. It's coming around. Here we are. We're playing. But during our set, I'm hearing the other band
Oof.
on the other side of the stage, sound, like checking. They're like, "Give me some kick."
Yeah.
I was like, "What the?"
Do you remember what band that was?
I can't remember, but I was like, "Why is this coming through my monitor right now? Like, this is like, how am I supposed to? Oh, this is like,
Yeah, yeah.
this is my moment. Like, I'm supposed. Oh, how could this be happening?" And
Was it everybody's monitor?
I don't know. Like the
Um,
monitors just sounded like this, like,
oh no. Oh god.
like I just did the best I could, in the situation, and I made the most of it, But it didn't turn out to be like what we had imagined in our heads, And
So what
yeah,
happened with the film?
I heard that a Swedish company bought the footage, but I also had heard that maybe Michael Lang didn't really like the direction Barbara was going, because she was kind of like maybe showing things in a light he didn't want to be seen in, which was,
True.
well, just the the money making aspect of this thing. Like it's,
Right.
they're doing it to make money, and
I mean,
I think
yeah,
she maybe
of course.
painted us in a light where we were being taken advantage of, but
Hmm.
I don't see it that way at all. It's like, yeah, maybe we were like, young kids and our hearts were, full of hope, and we had big dreams, but we were living our dreams. You know what I mean? It was amazing. What an amazing thing to do when you're a kid. You know what I mean? And
It's
all
all
the
downhill from
experience
there.
my brother, at that age, I mean, that pays off. You know what I mean? That he developed, so young. I mean, I think it's a very good thing. He was always going out and playing gigs where, he talks about this where, I mean, he was so young, like kids his age, it wasn't cool to be in a band.
Hmm.
Like it was like he had to hide it from his peers. Like he didn't want them to know he was in a band. But then he's like hanging out with like, older kids, cooler kids, and more developed females, at a young
Right.
age, and
Sure.
and enjoying that. And I mean, what can I say? It was really good for him.
Shorties, as you call them in your song.
Shodies, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what songs you played?
At Woodstock,
Yeah, I mean, was there even any songs that we would even know about that you played back then?
geez, played a song called Miss Millie's Green Grass. I remember that. It was like we played a song called Wayland. What else did we do? We did like I said, we do have like some punk ethics, and we did have the people who were managing us at the time were like, made us rehearse our set, and they're like, they had to be involved with like picking the songs. But we secretly said, you know what we're gonna do? Like when it comes time to play the show, we're gonna play the fucking song that we want to play.
Yeah,
So
what was that song?
we played the song. It was called "Goddamn," and yeah, and we wanted to play that one, and it was something we had just written, and it was fresh on our minds, and was in our hearts, and we wanted to play it, and we wanted to break the rules. Like I said, like
Mhm.
people make rules, like I like to break them. I can't. I've always been that way.
Wow.
But yeah, I can't really remember what the other tunes were.
I mean, was anything that ended up on Paint by Number even written yet, you think?
I don't think so. I mean, there were a lot of. I don't think so.
Was the music back then different at all from how it developed later on?
Yeah, we were a little like zanier.
Mm.
We were definitely influenced by Peace Bomb, which was a very zany band. So
Goddamn was Tom Dole's favorite song for a very long time. Yeah, is there recordings of that out there?
there's some old demos of that, and I actually recently recorded a new version of it.
Oh, is it on the Patreon?
It's on the Patreon, yeah.
Maybe I heard it. I don't remember.
And then I sang it in front of a Christmas tree.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of weird, but
Right, yeah, I did see that.
yeah.
That's interesting. So there's a good story behind that song.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the one we played at Woodstock when we weren't supposed to.
So let's see. I'll ask this along with this question, and then I'll backtrack a little bit. Are there any? Is 3 still a band?
I mean, 3 is still a band. We're kind of in a dormant phase right now.
Because I think the last time I heard you guys playing a recording was like 2014, except for maybe like a reunion show.
Yeah, we did some stuff in 2018, and there's some recordings of stuff we were working on, but Daniel went out to the West Coast, and Chris has got some young kids right now, but we're talking about starting to get together again soon as the kids are getting a little bit older, and we can actually make some time to play. So it's just kind of
Nice.
on pause until we can do that. But I have a slew of material. It's almost like we don't even need to write anything because we have enough songs for a whole record. We just have to get together and actually play.
Are they different from the songs you've been putting out on your Patreon?
Oh yeah. There's there's songs that are meant for 3.
Okay.
And then there's like everything
So
else.
you do kind of separate it out, like
I do, yeah. There's
in your mind.
it just seems kind of obvious to me what's going down a 3. Although, like somebody said to me the other day that one of my songs sounds very 3 like. So but there could be
it's you,
multiple versions.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's it. I wanted to ask, do you even know how many songs you've written? Do you have a spreadsheet somewhere? Like how many songs?
I've stopped trying to keep track. I just keep writing new ones,
Yeah.
keep adding to it and developing them. But I'm sure like I've written 1,000 songs.
Wow.
I mean, I used to have a list. It was 400.
And when did that stop?
I feel like that was like 20 years ago.
Okay, wow.
So
yeah.
I know I've got to have at least 1,000 like solid song ideas. But
That's a lot of songs. I was gonna say,
keeps you busy, It's a lot of like
yeah.
I feel pressure too. Like, oh my god, I forgot about this one, and I forgot about that one, and that was gonna be the greatest song ever, and I just forgot about it. Damn it,
Here, I got one for you. So I went back into my archives to see what I had, and I had some bootleg called "Live at the Lake," March 1999. And there was this particular song in there I wanted to ask you about because it was pretty wild. It's called "Box of Hammers."
Oh, Box of Hammers, yeah.
That was a pretty crazy song.
Yeah.
Whatever. Did you ever record that or?
3 record. We got to do that one, or it might be on an Eppard Brothers record.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Maybe me and Josh.
That would be a good one to revive, right? Because
Yeah,
that was pretty rocking.
we took elements of that and put that in Wake Pig.
Okay.
There's a section in Wake Pig, like the bridge and some other things came from Box of Hammers.
Yeah, I was listening to that. I mean, there was a bunch of songs that were probably unrecorded from there, but it's like, whoa, that's a pretty crazy song. How many songs? Like, I know you have quite the repertoire. At any given time, how many songs do you think you could just pull out of your ass and play? Because I know, like, this show you did 29, and that's pretty impressive. But like, if you really had to, how many songs do you think you could play just like right now?
Well, I mean, what do you mean, like play well or just play? I mean, I could probably, I don't know.
Would anyone know the difference, really?
Yes, I mean, I would.
You think so? Okay.
I have to practice, man.
How about like halfway decent?
Halfway
I know it's more of a rhetorical question than anything.
Probably,
but like,
I could probably bust out 30 songs and have them sound pretty decent, like right now. But I'm not super confident in that because it's just every song I need to run once.
I'm not gonna ask you to do it. I just curious.
You know what I mean? Like I got to run it once because there's always like one or two little quirks in there that you think you remember, but the minute you think about it, if you think about it, then you're not going to remember.
Do you think that's more musically or lyrically? Do you have a knack for remembering lyrics well?
They're interwoven.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes I can't remember the lyrics without the music, and it's like you have to be in the right headspace. But if the muscle memory isn't quite there anymore, you have to reestablish it. So in terms of doing the older stuff,
Box of Hammers, yeah.
You have to. It is really cool, man. I do really want to see that one through.
Yeah. I mean,
kind of like when we first did it, like people were bugging. People were like, "Oh my god, Box of Hammers it's the new best song."
Right, because I'm assuming around that time is when Paint by Number actually came out, even though that was old news at the time to you, I'm sure, because you recorded that years prior.
Paint by Number didn't come out until years after it was recorded.
Right, like when was it recorded? Around 97,
98.
98, and then when did it come out?
Yeah, it came out I think in 2000.
Really?
Was it 2000 or 2000?
Oh, 2000. Okay.
It was 2000. Yeah.
So 2 years. That's right. So Box of Hammers would have been like a brand new song. I'm sure that the album material was already old when you recorded it.
Yeah, I wonder.
Right.
Like, I can't remember exactly when we did. Well, I guess we had Box of Hammers. We had Jay Foster had joined the band for a brief stint there.
Playing what? Bass?
Guitar.
guitar. Okay.
Yeah, we added
This is before Billy or addition?
before
In
Billy.
addition?
Yeah, before Billy came back after
Oh,
his
okay.
he had kind of like gotten all the his Christian values. He had dealt with all that. And,
He let his demons out.
yeah, he had he had to go and explore. He went west and changed his name to Cricket. And
Okay. I
and
didn't
then
know that. That's a fun fact.
yeah, he like worked on a farm out there for a while and explored his self spiritually, and then he came back and we were hanging again, and yeah, things didn't work out with Jason Foster. Jay was like super talented. He plays on Paint by Number. He plays the guitar
Okay.
solo,
Mhm.
and he plays on a couple of tracks on Paint by Number. He plays a little bit on Blood on the Blankets, and Jay was just a stellar guitar player, like one of the big talents.
Is he playing with anyone these days, or?
He is no longer with us.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
sorry about that. Yeah.
His aspirations musically and the pressure, something I don't know, like if a lot of people think about this, but when you're young and like you become like well known, at least like even locally, but like your friends all believe in what you're doing and look up to you, and there's a lot of pressure actually that comes with that. Like you want to live up to what everybody thinks you can do, and it's like amazing that people believe in you, and it's wonderful, but then it's also like it can be like a heavy burden, because if you don't live up to that or live up to what everyone thinks you're going to achieve, like it can be hard to look in the mirror, face yourself, feel like you've failed everyone, and I think that Jay struggled with that because he was like the best guitar player of his, in our area. Like he was a young dude who could shred, and everyone's like, dude, you're gonna be a huge star, and it's like you believe that, you know what I mean? And then when it doesn't work out, it's hard to pick up the pieces, man. It really is. And I think it was very hard for him, and he didn't. So he didn't.
Well, go honor him, and everyone go listen to Paint by Number.
Exactly.
It's out there on Spotify and stuff. Let's see. Frank Riddle remembers a show at Bearsville Lounge where Joey played a white 12-string that he had lost for some reason for years and had just recently been reacquired. There's no question there, but I guess that's a fun fact.
Yeah. That's in my shed right now.
Oh, great. And here's a weird question about a song called Strawberry.
Oh.
With lots of strange fades and audio glitches. Is that part of the song or just a bad quality?
Sounds like a bad cassette tape, because I mean, look, it was recorded on a cassette tape. It was a 4-track recording, but it should sound, I don't know, I haven't listened to it in a while, but I should probably recut that one.
Yeah, I never heard of that one. That
was actually the song that got Michael Lang super into 3.
So you don't mind like going backwards and looking at old material and bringing it back?
No, I love it.
Okay, cool. I feel the same way. A lot of people just want to go forward, and I'm like, no, man, I never finished this song from 30 years ago. It's going to happen.
I always feel like I can re-record everything I've ever done and still do it better,
Right.
I can't help myself.
And that's, well, I guess that's a quick question, but revisions kind of is that, I guess?
Yes, it absolutely is. Yeah. It was, a chance to do other versions, of songs.
Great song, awful recording. Yeah, there's a lot of that in the 90s.
Yeah.
For us, I was recording on 4 tracks and 8 tracks too, so I totally get it.
Yeah, it was I'll say, I was probably 16 when I recorded that on a 4-track cassette. But I think you might have a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, one of those kinds of things where it just deteriorated.
Yeah. Well, let's say I know we have to wind down soon, so let's see how much I could fit in the last bit here. I'm sure we could do a whole other show about this question, about how was being on Metal Blade Records, your other big contract, right? Your big contract.
Yeah. It was cool. love Brian Slagle. You know,
Did
he
he sign you? Or, like,
did,
because he's
yeah.
not really with them anymore, is he?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the latest is. I mean, it was his label.
Right. Yeah. He's the name associated with it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, somehow our CD wound up on his desk,
So
and
I was really surprised about that signing because I never considered you really a metal band.
no,
And did
that
that like
you know,
influence the material? Did you put like more metal into it because of that? Or
no, I
was it a
mean,
natural progression?
we had already made the record Wake Pig,
Right.
so that was already like bringing Billy into the
Yeah, because he's like a shredder.
picture, like brought a little more of that metal flavor into what we were doing. I mean, I think you can hear like, you know, we would explore stuff like that, but I never played with a pick, you know what I mean? And like part of that metal
Mhm.
sound comes with playing, you know, at least the stuff you're the kind of chugging. I can do that kind of chugging too, but it's got a little bit of a different tone. So,
Right.
but yeah, bringing Billy in kind of added that dimension. Like we had that dimension, but we didn't always. It wasn't one thing, you know. 3 was never one thing. It was
No, of
like
course not.
3 things, and that was
Yeah.
part of being 3. But yeah, we knew that we stood out on Metal Blade. But after like hanging out with Brian and knowing like they had done this before, where they had signed acts that weren't necessarily metal and that went on to be successful, like the Goo Goo Dolls and
Right.
um,
Yeah. From Buffalo, New York.
yeah. So
They used to play with Green Jelly, which is a band that I'm in. Not at the time though.
oh, nice.
Yeah. You remember Green Jelly?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, it was. I had to think about it a little bit, but because there was actually an offer on the table too to do something with Coheed. They wanted to um, have their own imprint,
Mm,
Evil Inc. Records, and so they wanted to release our record on their imprint, and I remember just being like, well, like those dudes are just so busy. It's like I can't expect
right.
them to like be my record label and be a successful band, and it's just like we're family, we're friends. It's like I don't know, like I didn't know, like I thought maybe if like we could just do it on our own, it would be a better. But we ended up putting their imprint on the release too,
Mm.
so the Evil Inc. imprint
Which
on
record?
Wake, Wake Pig.
Wake Pig.
They might have actually been a sticker that went on.
Oh, I don't know. It's really this red on black is really hard
Yeah,
to read, man. I need a magnifying glass.
yeah,
Uh,
but
and I noticed that here's a plug for you. Go to Joey's Big Cartel store. You can still find the original Wake Pig. I just ordered myself a copy with the original cover.
oh,
I
nice,
don't
yeah.
even know if you knew it was still on there, but I just ordered myself a
Yeah, no,
copy.
it is. I have actually a number of boxes.
Oh, good. Well, I'll take one off of your hands. I just ordered one, so
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. I prefer the original art too.
with the red, with like the hand kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because they
good. I
kind of
think I
just
have it in here somewhere.
they tried to take it and metal it out a
Oh yeah,
little bit.
here's my
Got
slideshow.
it
Here's that little.
Oh, snap! Look at
Here's
that.
that
Yeah.
fun CD we were talking about
So
before.
that is Bradley,
Oh,
and he's thinking
there's
instead
your single.
instead of no single for 3, he's thinking new single for 3.
That's
But yeah,
funny.
his quote was, "I don't hear a single." And then I finally knew what Tom Petty meant by that line. I don't hear a single. And yeah, it's like there's a Tom Petty song.
Here's a quick question. Where is this? I know there's like a band picture associated with this house too, but
Oh yeah,
this
this
is
was
just
like
like a wreck
yeah, this
somewhere.
place was disheveled. It was probably pretty dangerous. The floors were caving in. That was in New Paltz,
Okay. Some
New
kind of
York.
like abandoned area.
Yeah, it was like a house that had partially burned down or something.
There's what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
original.
that is so much cooler than this.
Yeah,
Well, I
that was
guess it's
like
still kind of in there in the background, but I don't even think about it until
yeah.
I
I
see the
listen.
original cover.
I took a lot of heat online for the other one there.
Really? Why?
Oh, just
You know, what
people.
would have been cool if it was this, but with like a slip cover with the 3 logo on it. So then it became like this.
Oh yeah, that's
So
a cool idea.
for when you reissue it, there's my idea for you.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, because I never even noticed that that was the background until I put these together.
Yeah, no. Well, this one people were had changed the name of my band to Space Penis, so that was what they were calling us.
That's
What
great.
can I say? Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Oh, wait, here's the question I always wanted to ask you, because after I discovered three and saw you in 2002, and I went to college, I went to Five Towns College in Long Island for 2 years, which is an audio engineering school mostly, or music school. And at that time period, a new band appeared on the radio, of which members had just a few years earlier graduated from that college or went to that college, and they were called Maroon 5.
Oh.
And I heard their first single, which I can't remember the name of right now,
Yeah, another one you're talking
but I
about.
was just like, oh, this is just 2002 version of 3. This is just like You've Been Shot,
Yeah, you
but
know
like
what?
a pop
A number
polished
of
version. Oh,
people.
Harder to Breathe. I
Yeah,
heard Harder to Breathe, and I was like, this is just 3, but like the pop version.
yeah, a number of people
Did you
reached
ever think that, or people
a
have
number
thought
of
that?
a number of
I've been
people.
thinking that for 20 years. I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I remember hearing that from a lot of people saying like, "Oh, it sounds so much like you guys,"
It
and
sounded like a copy of you to me,
yeah,
like
I
a
was like,
slick
"Oh," and
3.
I liked it. I was like, "Oh, it's pretty
I
good."
liked it
Like,
too,
yeah, I was like, "That's."
because it sounded like you.
I think that was like this. Like I think it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what that happened to them. I mean, not for them, but for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, obviously not. I'm not talking
yeah,
about career. Just
yeah, exactly.
like
Like I thought that was a cool single, and now I hear them, I'm like, oh, what is this? It was Harder to Breathe and This Love, I think, were the 2 singles. I was
yeah.
like, oh, this is just like pop 3. Um, let's see what else I got here. This looks like an old picture. Who's in this picture?
That's me, Josh, and Chris.
What
From
year is this, you think?
This is at Woodstock '94.
Oh shit,
There was
really?
a photo booth. Yeah, this is
Wow.
so after we had played, we were backstage too. We were backstage just like with everybody, like,
Oh yeah, that's a
Trent
question. Like,
Reznor, like
right.
yelling at Josh, like
Really? What was he yelling at Josh for?
he told him, "Go eat some hamburger, kid." I don't know. I don't know why he said that.
I'll bet Trent's a Coheed fan now.
Probably is, man.
uh,
But yeah, no,
yeah, did you get to
Cheryl Crow was hanging out. My brother was hanging out with Shannon from Blind Melon.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Chris was a big, Chili Peppers fan, so he thought like he would take the opportunity to go knock on their trailer door, which is, not something you're supposed to do.
Right.
So that didn't go so well, but
Wah, wah.
yeah, no, there we were, and we went to the photo booth. They're like, okay, the bands go to the photo booth to get your picture taken for the book and everything, and we go in there, and the photographer's like, who the fuck are you? It's like, who let these kids in here? Get these guys the fuck out of here, and they're about to kick us out, and my manager at the time is like fighting. She's like, you got to get their picture taken too. They just played. They're not listening to him because he's a kid too. We were kids. And then this tall guy steps up, and it's Doug Pinnick from King's X, and he's like,
wow.
hey, you take their picture. They just played. And the photographer's like, okay. So he took our picture, and I was just like, thank you.
Junior's gone wild.
Thank you so much for sticking up for us. And I'll tell you, like, there's like the dudes from King's X, there's no better like people, like, just
I saw him play once. Yeah,
like, I mean, what an incredible band, but also just like to know like they're amazing human beings, and like in a moment where they don't have to be nice or do something nice, like they stood up for us, and I never forgot that. And then many years later, I played a show in Houston, and I went out to the merch table, and there's like a big line of people. Like I was like, oh cool, like lots of people want to like get stuff signed, and there's one guy standing above all the rest, and it was Doug. He's
Wow.
like, "Will you sign my CD?"
Which CD? Paint by number?
It was Summer Camp Nightmare,
Oh,
actually.
wow, that's cool.
And he loved Bedroom in Hell and,
Yeah.
and Dive were his two favorite songs.
All right, I know we're at the 2-hour mark, but do you have a few more minutes for a couple more
Yeah,
questions?
yeah. We
Cool.
squeeze out a couple more minutes here.
See, yeah. Well, I definitely wanted to ask you about, I know this could be a whole nother podcast as well, I'm sure, but aliens is a big theme in your work. And I heard you had a UFO experience once.
True. Yeah.
Uh, I wanted to take this opportunity to say that I sort of saw, not what you saw, but I saw some interesting lights once with some friends here in the Rockland County in the same Hudson Valley. And I did look up UFOs and Hudson Valley, and there is some stuff out there.
Yeah, it's considered a
So
UFO
I
hotspot.
was a little kid and I looked everywhere for it. I thought I had a printout of it, but I remember a news article on my local internet provider, j51.com. If anyone's out there, I tried to look it up on archive.org. Somebody else saw it and there was a little article about it, so I'm not crazy. It was just I don't even remember it really, but nothing spectacular. Maybe some lights just kind of that looked weird in my friend's backyard. But like, what was your experience and how has that influenced your life? And what do you think about all this stuff going on now about, like now they're actually saying like UFOs are real and they're kind of like, there's all this stuff coming out in the recent year
Yeah,
or
I
two.
mean, it's vindicating.
Right.
It's like
Right.
you're actually like, I mean, you're gonna get laughed at so hard for
Right. I mean, 30
saying
years ago,
about
it'd be a little
UFO,
different. Now, I think
but
the government's telling us that they're real.
yeah, I mean, it's basically like, soft disclosure
Mhm.
much has happened. And
Right. The big question is, what are they
if you really
preparing
want to
us
look at the
for?
information, you can look if you can handle it, and if you're not ready, then you don't have to look.
Right.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, my experience was when I was a little kid, so it does become the memory of a memory of a memory,
Right. That's how I feel
you know,
too. I mean, I
and
hardly
so,
remembered it until I was thinking about questions for you.
but I can still remember, like, I remember it, and I remember what my thoughts were, my thought process, and I remember what happened. I
What
remember what it was
happened?
like. Well, I was out with my grandparents, and they lived in Hurley, New York, and we had, had like kind of an early dinner. Like they took us to like Burger King or something. I don't know. And we were coming home, or maybe it was Friendlies. We got Friendlies around here.
Mhm.
We used to, and we
Yeah,
pulled into the
same here.
driveway, and we get out
Became a
of the car.
Starbucks, which I later worked at. So
Um, it was evening, but not like full dark yet, you know. And I believe it was in March of 1983. I was 6 years old.
I was -1.
Josh was there too, so he would have been 3. But yeah, so we get out. My grandfather sees it first, and he's like, "Whoa, look at that!" And they live on a dead end street, and there's a row of trees, and then just right there in the sky above the trees, just slowly like crawling through the sky, was like what looked like a gigantic UFO, and it had light.
How far would you say it was from you?
I mean, well, here's what I can remember. I remember thinking I could hit this with a rock, but also like my adult self
Right.
knew there was no way I could hit it with a rock. It was not that close. It was, but it would just look so big in the sky, like. But there's no. It's really hard to gauge like the size of something you're seeing in the sky. It's like, what's
Sure.
your reference point? It's really hard to tell. But this was a large object in the sky, and I could see the shape of it and the lights. It wasn't just lights. I could see it. I could see the silhouette of it. I could see the lights, the red, green, and white, and I could see what even looked on the bottom looked like windows. It almost had like a blimp like shape to it, except it wasn't round. It was rigid. It was like you see like flying saucers that are like stepped and like
Hmm.
that had that kind of shape to it, and it was like a little fatter on the bottom than the slope on the top would have been more spread out. You know what I mean? Like you could not as extreme to say like a diamond shape, but like if you took a diamond shape and kind of flattened it a little
Sure.
bit, it looked like that, and the lights were kind of through the center of it, and I was just like, oh, I was just like, wow, this is really cool, like looking at it. And then my grandfather's like, I gotta get my camera, and he starts taking off, and I have no idea. It wasn't like why this happened or why this came through me, but I screamed like at the top of my lungs, no, Papa, no. I made him stop, and I told him like he can't take a picture, like, and I have no idea why I did that. And it was almost like I wasn't even, it was just like it came through me. Like I don't know why I stopped him, but damn, I wish I didn't stop him.
Yeah, man, me too.
But I did, and it's so weird.
Maybe you saved his life somehow, you know.
I mean that's occurred to me, like, because somehow I felt like if he takes a picture of this, like we're gonna get him big, like it could threaten our lives, basically.
Like Men in Black and
like, not that I knew that
right.
intellectually, but it was like, I don't know. Like I look back on that and then I'm just like, how or why did I do that? And then so that had a huge impact on me, because
You write a lot of songs about aliens.
the following I don't know if it was the next day or the day after that, there was a newspaper article, the Hudson Valley.
Have you ever found it?
They had received over 300 phone calls about the UFO. Traffic had stopped on 84. People just stopped and got out of their cars to watch this thing. And they said the explanation was it was a flight of 14 planes flying in formation. And that like blew my mind, because I was like, oh my God, like all these other people saw it later at night when it was dark and you just see the lights. You know what I mean? You don't see the object. But I saw the object, a solid object, a massive, what seemed massive. You know, like I said, it's hard to really gauge that. But I mean, it was something real. Like I can't tell you it was aliens. You know,
right,
it could be a man-made object that we never were told about. You know, I don't know. There was something otherworldly about it, and it was very real. And a lot of other people, you know, it's a documented thing, and it became a UFO wave where, I mean, there's all sorts of lore about it. Like,
yeah, have you dug into it now? Are there like
a little
remnants
bit
of this story online anywhere?
Think about if you wanted to cover up a sighting like that, like the smartest thing you could do would be to immediately send out a bunch of planes and have them fly in formation. So now people everywhere, oh, I saw the planes. I saw that too. Like it's like now you've got, okay, now you've
right, because it was later
muddied the water now that like, oh yeah, you think you saw something. That was just planes flying in formation. And years later, like someone had told me, oh, my buddy was one of the pilots that they were flying these, I guess they weren't planes, they were like some kind of gliders or something. But I often wondered like what if they continued to do that, or but you know, I can say for sure like what I saw was a solid object. It wasn't like multiple objects flying in formation. That was definitely not it. But then, you know, that showed me, like, kind of taught me that people lie, like the newspaper lies.
No kidding.
They're not telling the truth. I was just like, what? I mean, when you're 6 years old, that's like,
right. I mean,
God, okay, they're
people who are adults are figuring this out finally too.
yeah. So yeah, that sent me on a certain trajectory, and it's not like, you know, the whole rest of my life has gone by. I mean, I wish I knew that how special that moment was. You know that, but there, you know, there've been just like a handful of things that have happened to me over the years that have kept me, you know, wondering and contemplating and thinking about these things. And, you know, I mean, when I think about aliens, you know, I have a song called "You Are the Alien," and I think space.
Broadway Alien,
Yeah,
Angel.
I think space is just another ocean. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's
I mean,
like,
we know more about space than we do our ocean, actually.
yeah, no, I
But
mean,
that's just really crazy.
but I just mean in terms of like it used to be. We were, stuck on these land masses, and it's like getting across the ocean and finding these new people, and I think someday we're gonna look at space like that. It's just like,
Mhm.
I just, I think that it's interesting seeing what's getting released now and
Right. Yeah.
contemplating what it could be. But I feel like I've even I feel like the whole alien thing it's so concept, it's so basic that it could be so much more than that. It could be so much deeper than that, really.
Right.
It's like maybe they're not aliens, like, or what we think of as aliens, or maybe we're dealing with something that's been here on Earth longer than we have.
Sure.
Stuff like that. I like to contemplate.
Yeah, I mean, it's good fodder for material for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm a human being. Like I like to think about these things. I don't portray myself as someone who
Oh,
knows what's going on.
Tom went to a stranger's apartment to smoke weed before one of Three's shows, and I asked him about UFOs because I knew it was a hotspot, and he cried and told me everything. I'll never forget the look in his eye when I asked him. I don't even know if I believe, but I want to. Cue X-Files theme
Yeah.
in Kingston.
Yeah. Well, something I came to find out like years later, I read this book called Communion by Whitley Strieber, which was kind of like blew the doors off the whole alien phenomena and abductions and the experience he was having. I was reading that book when I was 12 years old. It was terrifying, and then I found out like he was having these experiences. He was coming up to the Hudson Valley.
Mm.
Like he actually says in the book Kingston, but he wasn't in Kingston. He was actually in Kerhoxton, which is
Where's
nearby.
that?
It's like a little south of Kingston, but
it's still in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah, it's a little bit more out in the country because Kingston's like the city. Like if if there were UFOs flying right over the city all the time, it's like a lot of people would see it. But
sure.
So he was out. He had a little place out in the country. Came up from New York, country home, and all this stuff took place there. It's pretty wild.
Well, I don't know if we can top that one.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again, man.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you're a great conversation. We could definitely do this again sometime. Who was the duo that covered "Bedroom in Hell"? To have people covered 3 songs? I've never heard any.
Really great cover of "Bedroom in Hell," done by J.B. Tenney. I heard it, man. He did a really awesome.
I imagine you're a very hard band to cover.
I'd love to hear covers. The more covers, do the
maybe
songs.
I'll do it. Maybe I'll do a 3 cover.
Yeah, do it. Make it your own. That's what it's all about.
And what's this? I thought the weirdest thing that ever happened was 3 being chosen for the Scorpions revival tour. You went on tour with the Scorpions?
Yeah, we toured with Scorpions. Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, that was a cool.
You did a lot more touring than I thought you have. What era was that?
That probably was maybe 2007 or 8 or 9, somewhere in there.
Nice.
Maybe 2008.
I think. Let me. Okay, yeah, we're gonna land this plane. I have a few slides I want to show quickly. Let's see. Let me quickly go through my slideshow here. There's the show we played, One Way Town. All right, so this is the nice. 10, 11, 12. And what I was going to say about the thing I remember most about this show, besides you saying that Coheed used to rehearse in your kitchen, is hanging out with Jimmy Tyndall.
Oh, there's Jimmy.
There's me and Jimmy hanging out.
Yeah, look at those golden locks.
So that's me 12, 11 years ago, something like that, whatever. And here's some more pictures from Images. See, there's me taking a picture while my friend Matt is recording you on my camera. So
No.
I think I pawned that off to him. So there's some pictures nobody's ever seen before. Not great. I wasn't a professional yet, like I said, but I had a budding interest.
Oh man, look at that. Oh,
What
classic.
was this? This looks like an old photo.
Boy, that's
1999.
yeah. We were getting ready to play Woodstock '99.
You
Didn't
played
even talk
Woodstock
about that.
99?
Yes, we did. Of
Oh my
course,
God.
we had
Okay,
to.
we'll save that for episode 2 because geez. Did you watch the documentary on Netflix?
I did. Yeah.
Crazy.
Billy was in it.
Really?
Well, depending on which documentary, because there's a couple.
Oh,
But
I don't know. The one about the disaster. It was like a 4-part
yeah.
series.
I
forget what it was
Billy was in
called.
the beginning of one of them. You see him sneaking under the fence,
Huh.
and
That's pretty funny.
it's actually a clip from '94 that they're showing.
Oh, really?
But yeah, Woodstock '99 was a disaster. Oh my God, it was a nightmare. We got the hell out of there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was wild. It was angry.
Was the sound any better?
Yeah, I think we probably played better and had better sound, but we weren't on
Is
the
there
main
any recording of that? I mean, you'd think
I
like there's
wish
a
there
professional
was, man.
recording of all these shows,
There should be,
right?
God, you know who went on right after us was Dee Snider,
Like
from Twisted Sister.
no, yeah, I know who, but he wasn't in Twisted Sister at the time, right?
He had his own thing he was doing.
Was it Wicked Lester?
No, it was just Dee Snider,
Snider?
and I don't know, maybe something else, but
That's crazy.
I don't remember. It was billed as him, and I can't remember the name if there was a name for the band, but yeah, it was a dark.
I definitely would love to dig into this. We'll save that story.
Yeah, we'll save
because that's
that.
like, oh my God, I didn't even know about that. But here's a show that you are going to be playing soon, so let me promote this for you. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
When is this happening? I can't read the fine print.
October 23rd through the 27th. Yeah.
Nice. Are you gonna play with a band, or are you just gonna go out there on your own?
I'm doing this one solo, but I think Josh and I are gonna probably do a little duo action.
Nice.
We'll work something up. But
that's a cool logo. Oh yeah, October 23rd to 27th. Oh,
yeah,
we're gonna the whole thing.
Maybe next time around we can get the whole band down there.
Yeah.
But
do they do this every year?
Not every year, but I think maybe every couple years.
Yeah.
But they've been very successful. So
right.
we were supposed to do the last one, and I kind of put the kibosh on it. I didn't think it was. I wasn't sure about getting on a boat at the time because it was right. It was still during COVID.
Sure. Yeah.
And we were like kind of on the fence, like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And I basically didn't want to get stuck on a boat.
Yeah, totally.
And then I couldn't bring my kid.
Yeah. Did they do it? But it happened. The event happened. Everyone came out okay.
Yeah, I stayed home, and my dad, who I decided maybe it wouldn't be a good idea for my dad to get on this boat. He stayed home and got COVID staying home.
The irony.
Oh yeah, I kind of regretted it.
Did you catch COVID at all?
I did eventually. Get it.
I got one of those lesser strains. It was bad for like a day or two.
Yeah,
it wasn't terrible.
I took like the Paxlovid, so it wasn't too bad. It was 5 days of, but nothing could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it had been watered down a little bit by the time I got it. Luckily for me.
Yeah. I mean, I hope
I got to stay home from work for a week. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, you do get a little. Yeah, I had to cancel a gig.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's end this with. I'll play another video because I put this together today, so I figured I'd save it to the end.
Right on.
Because ending it with the show from the beginning. That was an export from, 2006, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've redigitized the tapes. Like I said, I don't have the soundboard audio yet, but here's another song from that show, but like in full quality.
Nice.
And we can just talk over that and end the show. Let's see. Speaking of aliens, So this is, audio from one of the cameras, but it's still pretty decent. Yeah, it looks so much better, right?
So that shirt I'm wearing says the Markness,
Oh, I was gonna say, was that a
which is
darkness
a
shirt?
joke off the Darkness.
Are you a
And
fan of the darkness?
The Markness was Mark Shiskey, who was our manager back at Woodstock '94, who was fighting to get us that picture.
That's funny.
He went on to tour manage Kill Switch Engage and work for Coheed at times.
Nice. So yeah, I'd love to put this whole show together at some point.
Cool to see this, man. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, hey, one of the reasons I do this show is so I can show things that I've done that people have never seen before. So this is a good opportunity because I have all these tapes of you and 3 and no one's ever seen it before. Of course, I'll send it to you if you want. It's fucking rocking, man. You guys were really rocking. Did I hear you premiered this video on Headbangers Ball?
Yeah, we did actually.
It was still a Headbangers Ball in 2006?
Yeah, apparently.
Who was hosting it, do you know?
Oh, God, I don't
'Cause
know.
it wasn't like, definitely wasn't Ricky Rackman anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We had a lot of fun making the video. I
Yeah,
can't find like an actual like HD version of it though. The quality is so.
Yeah, there's a bad quality version of on YouTube. Who would
Somebody's
have
got it
that? Someone's got
somewhere.
to have that.
Yeah, somebody had.
Who directed it?
Chase Pearson. He did a few of our videos.
And this was the one with like the They Live stuff in it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Look, I've got my Day Live shirt on.
Nice. So, I guess it's safe to say you're a fan of the sci-fi genre.
Yeah.
Was Matt Pinfield the host at the time? I think he did 120 minutes.
Yeah, he was 120 minutes. I don't think he was doing Headbangers Ball. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
I don't know if I got to watch it or not.
Oh, because I only know that because when I was going through this show today, you mentioned it. Like our video is going to be on Headbangers Ball.
I forgot
Well,
about that.
I don't
Yeah.
think it had been out yet.
I think All That Remains, we did that as well.
Was that the first single on this record?
No, that was on The End Has Begun.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, that's another memory I had. I don't know if you remember this, but the other guy who filmed this show with me, I have no idea who's filming this third camera, but thank you for whoever you were. But the other guy involved with this was Evan, my roommate at the time, and he actually came into the studio and filmed a little bit for you while you were making The End Has Begun.
Oh, nice.
And I think it was both awesome and disappointing because you weren't doing a band thing that day. It was like all the percussive stuff. Like you were doing the whole percussion thing.
So it was a Joe Stoat day.
I guess so. Yeah, look at that audience. You guys packed that. I rarely ever saw that room packed with people.
Yeah, that was a fun set. We had a good time.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I have it. I got 3 cameras of it.
Yeah, that footage looks great, man. That's
Not too bad. Not too
big.
bad. So yeah, well, thank you so much for doing this show, man.
Thanks for putting this together. That's
Yeah, of
really
course.
cool, man. Really cool.
We'll definitely, next time, maybe next year we'll do this again and we'll have some new stuff to talk about. And if you got any shows coming up around the area, like let me know. I'll come out.
Oh yeah, man. Let's see.
Are you doing anything else on the books other than the Coheed boat thing?
Well, I have a couple of other like non-original music
Right.
gigs that I've
Sure.
been in. Like so,
Promote yourself.
doing,
Tell the people.
I'm in a band with Jerry Murata and some other great players that we do the music of Steely Dan, and it's been a lot of fun. Big
You
horn.
do that at the Bearsville Theater, right?
We did do Bearsville, but coming up this month, we're doing a club called Daryl's House. Have you been there yet?
No.
It's Daryl Hall's place. It's it's like a great little dinner and a show type venue.
Sure.
But they shoot it. It's like 9 cameras and
Oh, is that where you did that?
multi-track.
It was like a 3 DVD from like that.
Oh yeah, that was from there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I ordered that on your Big Cartel too. I was one of the halls in my collection.
Nice.
I think I have all the records now. Do you ever release anything on vinyl?
No, I've yet to do that.
Dude, that's
But
crazy.
yeah,
I know
I
a
said
good
to Brian
remix
Frankel, too.
project that would be great for it.
Yeah. I said that to Brian. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, we got vinyl." Like he was just like, "Yeah, they made vinyl." Like I was like, "I don't think they did, man. Like
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't saw any
think so.
vinyl." So I don't think we ever got anything on vinyl, but
Maybe just in Europe. Who knows?
but yeah, I'm hoping to do a run of my new record that's going to come out. There should be some vinyl made. I guess
Is it done, or what's the
it's
progress on that? Join the Patreon and get all the behind the scenes, but like
Yeah.
how developed is this project so far?
I mean, I have more than enough songs, but it's
Oh.
just sort of signing off on
like recorded or
yeah, everything's recorded.
Okay. I was gonna say like, yes, we know you have 1,000 songs.
There's 2 songs that I want to be on this that are almost finished, but they're not quite there yet. Like one of them is sort of a rewrite, or just a different. Sometimes I make different versions of the same song, like with totally different melodies and production, and but same lyrics. So I'm doing that. But it's really settling on like how are my mixes sounding, you know what I mean, and then mastering. So
yeah, I'm definitely have to master it. Get that done professionally. That's like the important step.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's the tricky spot that I'm in right now, because I can mix things to sound good in my situation, but
right,
like, are they going to hold up? I just want to make sure it sounds as good as it can.
Would you say this album is like the most you of any record that you've done because it's all you?
It kind of is what it is. It's really it's what happens, when I'm locked in a room, kind of like creating something that's like it's all coming from me. It's not a lot of
and at home there's less pressure than like being in a studio, I imagine. I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah, no, I get the chance to like try a lot of different ideas and develop things. So it's great, but it also can slow you down. But then it also makes you want to play with other people. So like I'm really looking forward to doing some 3 stuff and playing with other people, and that brings out a side of me that's something that doesn't necessarily come out the same way when I'm working by myself. But doing the stuff by myself is also, it's like its own sort of flavor. So
sure, yeah. Go to Patreon, or go to joeyeppard.com and find the Patreon. It's awesome. There's lots of cool stuff on there. You can check out the Eppard brothers at least one of the songs so far.
Yeah, you got to go back through that.
Yeah, I got to go back.
There's a lot of great stuff, and I share all the songs I'm working on.
Yeah, and you've been doing this for a couple of years now, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
All right, last question. Favorite B movie?
Favorite B movie? I mean, is They Live considered a B movie? Like,
I mean, it's John Carpenter. It's sort of B.
It's sort of B movie.
Is that like your favorite movie?
I do love that movie, but I don't know.
You ever see Hell Comes
Okay,
to
I would say
Frogtown?
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say House 2.
I've heard a lot about this. I never saw it.
That's my favorite B movie.
I definitely have to seek that out.
That one I love with all my heart.
Okay, House 2. That's on my list.
Yeah, it's super creative. It's a lot of practical effects.
Nice.
Yeah, you should definitely watch it. It's pretty funny too. It's 80s. It's super 80s.
I feel like there's a connection between that and the thing I'm about to play to close the show, because someone's got to sponsor this show, and if nobody else is going to do it, it's going to be me. So I'm going to promote myself and show a little trailer for documentary I'm working on, and this is my connection I was saying before to Metal Blade, not directly, but this band was on Metal Blade, and I'm making a documentary about them. Have you ever heard of Haunted Garage?
No, I haven't.
Well, they were on Metal Blade in like 1991,
Oh,
and they were sort of a. Well, I mean, I guess you were all contemporary to Guar, but they were sort of in that horror realm, so they got compared to them a lot because Guar was also on Metal Blade. So.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks for being here. Oh, I got to promote the upcoming shows. I got a whole bunch of new bookings, so check it out. Let's see. Where's my slideshow for that? Uh-oh. Let's see. Slides, VonPod. Oh, here it is. Okay, next. Here's the part 2 of the getting dropped by your record label and your album never coming out. Splashdown. You ever heard of Splashdown?
No.
You know, it could have been the same label. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I saw Universal for a second there, and I was like, oh.
Well, that was that's her other band, Universal Hall Pass. But Splashdown recorded in around about the same time, I'd say late like 90s. One of the best albums I've ever heard, called Blue Shift, and it was never officially released because it got dropped, and it could have been in the same group of bands as 3. We're gonna find out.
Oh wow.
So part 2 of this conversation, May 18th, with Melissa R. Kaplan, who, trust me, I know probably nobody has heard of her, but it's going to be such a fascinating conversation. Definitely go check out Splashdown, Blue Shift, one of the best records ever made, never got released. Anyways, Sons of Venus, June 1st. Squid Pisser, if you like some grindcore, June 15th, because I like my concept bands. Gravity Kills. Dude, do you remember Gravity Kills? They were big on MTV in the late mid-90s, industrial kind of. They're putting out a new reissue vinyl of their classic record. Pigface, Martin Atkins, it all fits together in here. New bookings. This is probably the youngest guests I've ever had. Metal band from New Jersey. We're going to find out if the youth is still rocking and if they are assholes or not. Final Girls. They're playing San Francisco this week in a competition to play Wacken in Germany. So this is like their 3rd show that they've gotten on, and they're like, they could be the next big thing. Who knows? I'm going to get them first and find out. Returning guest Charles D. Lincoln. We're going to talk about the new release of his Blu-ray, 21st Century Demon Hunter, which is a crazy horror series he made, featuring one song by VonEsper, which is me.
Nice.
Rockland County, Negative Hate. Do you remember Negative Hate?
I can't say I do.
Oh man, they've been around since 1996 in Rockland County, like underground metal, industrial. Still kicking. Can you believe it?
That's a beautiful
We're
thing.
going to find out about that. What else do I got? Goth DJ Templar is going to be on the show in August. I am now the resident photographer for his event, The Red Party, that happens at the Mercury Lounge, first Saturday of every month. That means show up on Saturday. This Saturday, I'll take your picture. And then on my other show about Guar, if you're into that kind of stuff, the original singer before Dave Brockie, before Metal Blade, Ben Eubanks will be on the show. And then there's just a lot more coming from there. Stay tuned for VonPod. It's going to be interesting. And now I'm going to show my documentary trailer, one of them, and say goodbye.
All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great.
All right.
What influence did B-movies have on the band? How many tapes do you have? How many loads have you got?
It started out as a band that was covering bad songs from bad movies.
I mean, they should be looked at as a legacy of Los Angeles.
They live the movie lifestyle.
I had seen many of Dookie's movies long before I knew who he was.
I first saw Dookie Flyswatter in a Green Jello video.
Because as soon as I saw him up on the stage, I go, oh, fuck, that's that guy from Surf Nazis.
Roger Ebert said it's the worst movie he's ever seen.
They were such a part of our scene.
You know, a cult movie that's got its own fans, we've attracted our own fans and our own family.
Within a city of misfits like Hollywood, we were misfits.
He's an icon of the underground exploitational genre.
Punk rock god of Hollywood.
It was neat to see the same faces always orbiting this universe that Dookie Flyswatter seemed to be in the center of.
There was celebrities, weird people, cool people, interesting people.
Axl and Sass came to see us and I slimed them really good.
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons.
Tom Waits was there. I remember Fishbone showing up at a couple of gigs.
Courtney Love was afraid of us.
When you're sitting between Dookie and Elvira, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
Spike Lee wasn't impressed.
I'm just about to go on stage and Flea grabs my shoulder.
White Zombie and Haunted Garage and Tool were all in the same bill.
I think Soundgarden was opening for you. I would not be surprised.
I did a nude painting.
Clive Barker owns that painting.
Los Angeles seems to be a haven for insularly popular artist situation. You can destroy here, and nobody knows where you are anywhere else. No. It's crazy.
We'd like to be an A movie someday.
A B-A movie. An A-B movie.
A B-A movie?
A B-A.